Hello, good evening. We have a little issue. It's Draw Latina, Doctora Latina. We have a little issue with YouTube. We had sort of a duplicate live broadcast going on, and I'm just going to see how things are going. Just bear with us here, folks. Hello, Dorsey. Hi, how are you?
I'm good.
Good.
How are you? You
I am
figuring it
well,
out?
thank you. I explained, I think we're in chat right now
Okay.
on the other side, um, that we had problems with a sort of a duplicate, but we are live, and I think everybody else is on the other side.
Oh,
But Shan said that most likely they would head on over. I'm not sure how to get on
Yes,
to
I
the.
will. I'm going to fix that. I'm here. I'm present.
Oh, hello.
I got it. Hold on. Let me mute this
so
side
it's
of it.
the other one? Oh, yeah. This
I'll just-
one just said
Yep, it's the new one
unavailable.
they created. We're good. So all we have to do is get your daughter in
Okay.
here.
Oh, okay. She's right here.
I'm going
All
to
right,
drop
let me
this
get
link.
Discord.
Oh,
Yep.
Wait,
Are you getting Discord?
yeah, I got it.
And then I'm going to make a community post.
Oh, that's good.
Hello.
Hello. Hi, John Courtney. Hi, Derpstein. Can folks hear us? We had a little glitch.
We're good.
If you all can hear us, maybe you can put
Put
a
a
one.
one in that chat. Yep.
Yeah, put
Yeah,
a one in.
number one.
Hello, Jelly Bean. We're hoping folks come over from our defunct live. Hello, we are fine. We just had a small glitch go on.
We accidentally had two lives going. We're fixed.
Yeah.
We're good.
Did you merge them or?
No, I'm just having everybody merge over here.
Okay, so how do I have my folks who thought that it was on the other channel?
They'll see because okay, so when you
It'll say
do a
unavailable.
live it'll say unavailable, and then they'll get a notification that you are live right now. So everybody will know.
Okay, so we'll just hold on a couple of minutes. So
That's
glad
absolutely
to
fine.
have
This
Dave.
is why I play music at the beginning.
Oh, yeah. Well, you'll have to teach me how to do that. Hi, Colette Souza. Gosh, I'm so. Oh, good. John said he got the notification. That's really good.
They'll get it.
That's wonderful. Okay, well, I'm so glad folks came. Wow, I got kicked out.
Yeah, it kicked them out of the other one and brought them. Sorry about that, guys.
And does it bring them here, or it just kicks them
They'll
out?
get the notification, hopefully, if they have them on. Yeah, they're saying that.
I just dropped a community post now.
Okay. Do you think I should drop something on my community side?
It's. I mean, you can, but there already should be a notification that you're live right now.
You don't have to. I fixed it.
I got it.
Yeah,
I got
just
it.
privatized the other one and then made the other one public again. So there's only one live up.
So they'll see this one live.
I see.
There's only one up.
Well, gosh, I'm so glad you guys
We all learn somewhere, you know?
Priming
I
crochet.
love learning every day.
Yes, well, I obviously have a long way to go. What do you say? It's the internet highway, and then there's the ramp, the internet, and I'm in the breakdown lane.
You're
on the
deciding what exit it is still.
Oh my Lord! So
it's gonna be okay.
Hi, TC. Caleb.
Oh, Caleb Lee, Doctora Latina Shan, Daisy, and Cass Thinks et al. That's great. Gosh, it's so wonderful that you guys could join me and that your whole troop has come over here.
Absolutely. We love
That is
Kylie's Army.
fantastic. Do we I just kind of want to, we're kind of waiting for things to reboot and come over.
Yeah, that's fine.
Whatnot. But I thought I would just ask folks if they want to if they feel comfortable to put, even if they don't want to say what state they're in, they could say they're from the Southwest, the Northeast, something, just to kind of, or they're from Australia or wherever.
Right.
Yep.
That would be great. If
you don't have to tell your cities or your location.
No. I'm from the South.
Okay, I'm from the North.
I'm from back east, y'all.
So I see Derpstein. Oh, hello, Mom. First, always, I saw that you were first, Mom. Mom first always was first on the chat this evening. That's great.
UK.
Oh, the UK. Midwest, Maryland. Who wishes she was from Ireland? Wow.
Oh, we have New Zealand.
Yeah.
Welcome.
And Sydney
I'm
North.
sorry, y'all.
What is NSW? I know it's Australia, but I don't know what NSW. North South Wales, probably, or something.
Yep.
Oh,
North South
yeah.
Wales. You is right. Yep. That's where
Okay.
another one of my friends are from. That's awesome.
Oh, South Africa! Blessings from Port
Yes.
Elizabeth, South Africa. Woke up at 3:33. I hope
This
it's
is
gonna
why they yell at me.
I hope it's gonna be good, Miss Nocien Klassen. I see Justine, California. I am from New York, but
Kentucky, that's what's up.
somebody said they were from New York, and then it seemed to go. Oh, but the damn city. Yeah, are you from NYC, Miss Mom, or are you from Brooklyn, or Queens, or something?
She said New South Wales, not
Oh,
North.
New. What did I say? North. I'm sorry, I meant New.
We did.
New Wales.
Sorry
Yes.
about that.
Sorry, Charlotte. Yes, I was going to say that I also have been following, and at some point in the next week or two, I'm probably going to do a little thing on, speaking of the South, on South Carolina, the current trial of Alex Murdaugh.
I hadn't been following it, but
it's fascinating because I actually lived in South Carolina for 8 years, so I'm very familiar with that part of the country and that family actually as well. So I know that you guys have been following for a long time. Still, thank God, the Trinity. Well, first the Kylie Rodney case, and also really digging deep. And I know it's been kind of, in a way, you've sort of kept it quiet, but it's funny, on the main part of YouTube, a lot of people say, well, whatever happened to the people caring about the Kylie Rodney case? And there are many people that still care about the case, right?
We have a lot of people that we collaborate with where we keep their names out there. We can't stop, won't stop. I see CCTV's in the house. Hi, CC.
Hi, CC. I follow you too. You're on my list, on my sub. Oh, Jenny Poo is a South Carolinian. Okay, Jenny Poo. So I'm sure you're watching that trial. Yeah. So I think these are all your folks. I don't see any people from where I'm used to.
Hey,
any
Sifa. Sifa is a good channel. He covers a lot of Kylie stuff too.
He does. Yeah. Well, I guess my people, because of the glitch, maybe didn't come in tonight, or they haven't yet. But
they should see the live. You know, the little when they refresh or like go to type in your name and go to your channel, they should see this live. It's the only active one. So
all right, well,
they'll be here a little bit.
I'll say we're all your peeps, Dr. Salerno, says Elizabeth Reed. Okay, that's good. I'm your people. Okay, that's good. So let me ask.
There's Tracy. She said, I'm your people.
Yep.
They're coming in.
I don't just want to watch Doctora Latina. I'm curious, you guys that do follow me, or you don't have to be a sub. We had a glitch tonight. Were you all, if you can type in, how did you come over here? Hola, Mark. How did you all get over here? Did you get some sort of a word, or you just were shut out of the other one and then this one came on? I'm just asking. So we are, and love you, Doctora Latina. Oh, Jenny Poo, thank you.
Hey, Kate Displays. How are you?
Okay. And I'm really glad that you've been following the Trinity. The Trinity Backus case really did fall off radar in I think in mainstream media.
Yeah, because we were waiting so long for autopsy, anything. We hadn't heard anything. So
thank you, Elizabeth Reed. Yeah. So before we dive into the case and everything, I did want to introduce, everybody probably already knows Daisy and probably already knows Shan. Maybe you don't know me. I'm Doctora Latina. I'm just maybe each of you, Shan, I don't know if you're here. Still, I know you're here. I don't know if you're live in terms of okay. Maybe you could give a quick thumbnail sketch about your channel, how long you've had it, and just what your area of interest is and what your hopes are for your passion about your channel.
There's two reasons why I have my YouTube channel. I had originally started my YouTube back in 2011, where I became a huge vape advocate. I know you're
Vape?
against vaping.
Well, whatever.
But my whole purpose was to teach people that vaping is definitely a better thing to do than smoke. But I still say people should not put anything toxic into their lungs. It is still toxic. And then I had disappeared, stopped doing YouTube for about 5 years, and just kept continuing following true crime, horror, gore, like your news stories. Like, and I was watching 10 to Life and Harsh Reality and various YouTubers. And when Kylie Rodney's case had first dropped just in the news media, and I started paying attention to more, and I was starting to notice the similarities from other stories that I had heard in the Nevada and Placer County areas. And when I noticed that they weren't doing things to par as they should be as law enforcement, that's when I said, I have to start being a voice for this little girl. And that's where Squirrels on Fire came about.
Yeah.
So not too long ago then, for the Squirrels on Fire piece.
Squirrels on Fire started about 4 months ago.
Yeah. Okay.
4 months ago. Yeah.
Yeah. And Kylie is the one who brought me to YouTube also. Kylie's case. I mean, I was always watching YouTube channels about the Summer Wells case. And so I really started deep diving Summer Wells case with Harsh Reality, different creators. But then I saw all the drama that went on with so many channels. So I kind of steered away, and I was on Twitter a lot. But with Kylie's case, when Shanda was talking about, I'm going to just do my own channel because we wanted to be able to talk things out instead of tweeting about it.
Absolutely.
That's when I came to YouTube. So
that's wonderful. Thank you, Mark, by the way.
Yeah.
Dorsey Camilita is my daughter. Dorsey in English, it's Dorsey Camila, but we'll just say Dorsey. That's what she's got up. She doesn't have her, she's here and she's moderating for me right now.
Present.
She is present. And Dorsey Camila's actually helping out because my other daughter, Francesca, got called to work. Oh, there's Dorsey. Hi, Dorsey Camila. And Dorsey Camila, I'm just going to ask you to tell a 2-second thing, a little bit, anything you want about yourself, student, whatever you want to say. Do you like crime? Do you not? Have you ever moderated? And then give the spiel about how we've kind of been a little bit demonetized recently. And we do appreciate, because we're in the middle of doing a little fundraiser, probably for a domestic violence shelter. We're going to give part of our February pay pals or whatever what are they called again? Snap donations, whatever you want to call them. Thank you. But Dorsey Camila, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then maybe if people do feel inclined to give a like a super chat or whatever, you can type in. That's what Francesca usually does to thank them, so I'm not interrupting the convo.
Okay.
So tell us about yourself, Dorsey.
So I'm Dorsey. I'm Draw Latina's daughter. Right now I'm in Maine, actually. I go to a 4-year nursing school, so I'm currently in school, so that's why I'm not in the same area as my mom. So yes, we have been demonetized just slightly because YouTube flagged one of the videos because we used inappropriate language, but language that was not friendly for YouTube viewers, I assume.
It wasn't profanity, and I'm not going to say
bad.
That's just terminologies. Yep.
Terminology
that they didn't like, so they
I'm noticing the same.
That. So, but hopefully we can get that back up, because I don't think they're gonna do anything else besides just review her account. So we are doing donations. I'm not sure if you picked an organization yet, but a percentage of any super chats or anything like that is going to go to a specific organization. If you have any ideas, please comment below so we can definitely take a look into that. We're mostly trying to focus on smaller organizations, not big organizations like St. Jude's, because they get tons of donations, but it's helpful for them, but also the smaller organizations need to be recognized as well.
Right.
What about
yes,
there's a new one in California.
I was going to say the Gabby Petito one, but theirs is getting really big.
It is.
They do a lot.
You have, you have the organization for the missing and exploited children, but I just found one today in California directly. If this is where you guys want, it depends on where you want to go, what direction. Like, it depends on who you want to donate to, because I could give you all.
We're going to do a poll. I think what we're going to do,
that'd be awesome. That would be awesome.
Starting in February, I think Francesca and Dorsey Camilla are looking into all the ideas of people, and then they're going to put out the 3 top sort of ideas in my community section and take a poll and see what people vote for. And a portion of what folks donate is going to go to that charity. So you're free. But I think the key that I think that Dorsey Camilla, Francesca, and I are thinking about is everybody's saying hi to you, Dorsey, and somebody said you're my twin.
That's ironic.
That is ironic. Okay. Do you want to say why or no?
Sure. So I'm actually adopted. So my mom and I are not biological, but we get that so many times that we look exactly alike.
That's incredible.
Yeah, we're not really like biologically related. So, but we do look very much alike.
Yeah,
right.
Holy moly.
So Dorsey Camilla, do you want to say where you were born, when you came over here, or anything like that, or no?
I don't remember when I came over, honestly. I have a bad memory. So.
I
was a baby. I don't remember any of that. What was the other question you said? Oh, I was born in Guatemala.
Guatemala, Central America, yes. So we are, I will say we're spiritual twins. How's that, Dorsey Camilla?
Sure, why not?
No, we're not biological. Okay, so what else do we want to? Oh, back to Shan. So if you find stuff that you like in terms of charities, if you can think of smaller charities, like Dorsey Camilla was saying, and Francesca and I, as well as Dorsey Camilla, have a real like a thing. I'm going to say a thing. I don't know the expression. A thing for canine dog. Service dogs and emotional support dogs, and I did put a link in my recent non-live. But we really there are some domestic violence, for instance, shelters that actually have been formed to take dogs in, because a lot of times women, especially women who are victims of domestic violence.
I just wish we could donate money for these people that are supposed to be doing their jobs for them to actually do their jobs. That would be great, but it doesn't work that way. So.
What do you mean?
Foundation organizations are good. Like,
you meant people who doing their go ahead.
Don't do their jobs. If we could donate that money to them to give them the initiative to do their jobs, that would be great. But it doesn't work that way. So
no,
organization it is.
Yeah, I think so. I
already
think
have all the money they want.
Yep.
Oh, hello at Cass Thinks is in the chat.
Hi, Cass.
So in a little while, we're going to bring Cass up to also,
her videos are just, I am so proud of what she is doing, the way that she is presenting it. Her cute little mustaches she does crack me up.
It is.
But
it's a good idea.
She raises and poses a lot of questions, and it's the same questions that I have.
Mm-hmm. And the same, frankly, the same that I have. Mm-hmm. And the one thing I was going to mention to the folks that are in the chat tonight is my channel, like my whole reason that I sort of started what I do is because I am interested in true crime, but I'm also interested in understanding the psychology behind and the psychiatric reasons why people and what the motives are,
the things they do.
Yes, but also that I've noticed over the past years, so many of us in the true crime community are survivors or victims of violence or crime, and I really hoped, instead of folks tearing one another down, or sometimes we see people coming into chat or whatever because they get a mad on about an opinion that somebody else has. My goal, especially for somebody in my 60s, I'm about to be 62, is that I want to offer some knowledge to the community.
Yes.
I also want to learn from you guys, and I also want to uplift our community.
Yes,
because I don't think anybody, whether it's law enforcement, professionals, teachers, any kind of person in the whole wide world, housekeeper, whoever you are, nobody has a corner, in my opinion, on the market of knowledge. And I think we should all have the right to give our opinion, in my opinion, anyway.
Freedom of speech.
Freedom of speech. Oh, somebody thought I was 44. Well, thank you very much. Yeah, try 44 plus like 18 or something. But
it'll be okay. You're looking good, though.
Thank
you.
Good. I've had a rough, but anyway, nothing a little L'Oreal can't help. But anyway,
there you go.
There you go. So here we go. I just want to go on record to say I may not agree with everybody on this forum tonight, or in the YouTube true crime community, but I believe that I want to give voice to folks that have what I feel are really relevant, important things to say.
Yes.
And I want to say that people like Miss Daisy here from True Crime and Faith, Miss Squirrels on Fire, and Miss Cass, I've just learned about her. These kind of people for me have so much knowledge, brilliance, and agency. And I know sometimes people think, oh, are they getting into the realm, or am I getting into the realm of, what's that called, conspiracy? Maybe a little bit, but frankly,
I think we have.
there is so much that
you have to theorize things.
Yes,
though. Like this, it's part of the sleuthing. It's part of the investigating. It's part of getting the information together. Is having a group of people at a round table have you. You know,
Yes.
that's the way I look at these panels and my Discord. You know, and you have everybody having their different points of views. And then when you're noticing the coincidences between the center ground of things, and you're like, aha, let me go look into that. And then when you start to piece these things together, that's when you start to realize the patterns.
Right.
And I think that to write off people's ideas, especially people who, like you all, who have spent literally hundreds, if not thousands of hours using what I call data-driven, sort of evidence-based and evidence-informed. It's not just pie in the sky, I think of it, but really data-driven, evidence-informed information to try to piece together a narrative. Mm-hmm. I feel it's wonderful. And I'm going to tell you that as somebody, as most of you know, I am a practicing physician. And I'm going to just, without getting specific, tell you in the 30 years that I've practiced, I have had great intersection with CPS, law enforcement, murder investigation, you name it. And I'm going to tell you, including DAs, etc., that there are people, patients of mine, that should have been arrested, for instance, for something that they did against a child or whatever, or a child who was a victim of something. And I made the report. The person was initially, let's say, arrested. And I cannot get more specific, but I'm going to tell you right now that I myself have been told by different law enforcement agencies in my 30 years, and I'm not talking in the distant past, we are not going to pursue charges on X person. Because we just think we don't really want to spend the money. We don't think we know that this happens so often in X, Y, or Z community. Mm-hmm. And if we pursue charges on him, we'd have to pursue charges on 100 other of those people, quote, quote, those people. That's all I'm going to say. So I'm going to tell you, I know, and I have been frustrated, and I have accepted that I can make a report of a definite crime, and I can also, the door has been shut in my face many times. So when people say you cannot criticize FBI, law enforcement, the DA's office, no. We should criticize, or we should question.
Yeah, they take an oath.
But we can also do that and still back the blue. I definitely
back the blue 100%. My local law enforcement, I love them. They do an impeccable job at what they do.
But you have the good and you have the bad.
And then you have the corruption.
That's right. So I just want to say, I don't believe that we should look at life or cases as it 100% Ellie is in the right and 100% Jody Schmody is a conspiracy theorist.
Question everything.
Yeah. And my only rule on, hi, Marlena Cantu. Hi, Marlena. I love Marlena, and she's one of my few moderators. No, I'm sorry, Marlena, and I didn't email you, and I probably should start doing that. But thank you so much for coming on board. I think my only thing is to tell the chat to be kind to one another.
Yes, absolutely.
And just, my mother has told me many a time, and my daughter can vouch for this, that I have a mouth like a trucker and a sailor. I am not was I try
I'm learning tonight.
You're learning, but I'm sort of
learning.
getting out of myself that when I'm on this kind of a forum, I'm going to try to like clean up my sailor mouth. Nothing against sailors, because I love the water.
25 minutes and I haven't messed up yet. I'm proud of
and
you.
you're congratulations.
You're so doing great, Shan.
I'm just really trying to make sure that we keep it kind in the chat and that we try not to be too much sailor mouth, potty mouth, and that's it. But other than that, everybody has
I can do it. Anybody can do it.
You can do it.
You
and healthy debating is good. Theorizing is good. We can agree to disagree.
Yeah. Yep. So how do you guys want to proceed now? Pirates.
Do you want me to start my video with the background information?
Yes.
That would be wonderful. Why don't you intro your video and then I don't know how we're starting it. Is Dorsey Camila or I don't know how that's gonna happen.
It'll pop up like it did earlier, so she'll just add it.
It'll show up at the bottom.
So a lot of people in chat have already seen this video, but it is just kind of like a little background of Trinity in case you're not familiar with the case. So I just kind of put a little something together and I'll present that.
Little timeline.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Blessings all to everybody who's joined us tonight. Thank you.
Department is breaking down the command center they had set up here in Penn Valley the past 2 days as they organized the search for 16-year-old Trinity Backus. And we were here earlier when Trinity's mother received the news that they had found the body of her daughter. It was heartbreaking as she was wailing, repeatedly yelling no, and she collapsed to the ground. Her friends were here with her, trying to comfort her. Trinity disappeared from her aunt's home in the 18,000 block of Kentucky Ravine, a rural area outside of Penn Valley, Wednesday night around 10:30. She told her aunt that she was going to Grass Valley, about 10 miles away. She left barefoot, only wearing her pajamas and a maroon robe, and she did not take her phone. Then at around 2 this afternoon, searchers found Trinity's body about a half-mile north of her aunt's home in a very heavily wooded river drainage area. The Nevada County Sheriff's Department organized the search and had help from a dozen law enforcement agencies. On the ground, they had handlers and their search dogs, ATVs. From the air, they used the CHP fixed-wing airplane. They had helicopters, another plane equipped with FIRUS technology, normally used in wildfires. In all, they had about 140 searchers involved. Now, we spoke to Trinity's mother before they found her daughter.
The last time I saw my daughter was picking up my youngest daughter from her school at 3. Gave her a little hard time because we were taking the youngest daughter up to the snow. And I said, "Love you, Trin." That's the last words I've had of my daughter.
Trinity's mother shared this photo of them together with us. She called her daughter beautiful and a sweet girl. She was a student at North Point High School. We also saw searchers leaving here, wiping away tears. Now, the Sheriff's Department doesn't believe there's anything suspicious in Trinity's death. The coroner will conduct a full autopsy to determine how she died. Reporting in Penn Valley, Michelle Bandur, KCRA 3 News.
Doing this video so that we can show our audience a little backstory on Trinity Backus for those who are not familiar with everything that happened in her case. Okay, just give me a minute and I'm going to pull up different articles that I have. Okay, so this is one of the articles that had came out November 11th. Missing California teen Trinity Backus left home without shoes, hasn't been heard from since, family says. So the family of missing California teenager Trinity Backus says she left her aunt's home in her pajamas without shoes on Thursday, and they have not heard from her since. We're lost, sad, heartbroken, worried out of our minds. The 16-year-old's aunt, Ashley Yorkland, told Fox News Digital. Now, if you don't recall, Trinity had spent the night at her, it says Aunt Ashley Yorkland, but Aunt Ashley is not actually an aunt. She is Trinity's mom's best friend, so she calls her aunt. But she was at her house. She was spending the night with her friend Hannah. And as far as we know, there was her Ashley Yorkland, her aunt, Ashley's boyfriend Logan, Trinity, Hannah, and a roommate, quote unquote, which we have yet to figure out who the roommate was that was also at their house. So she was having a sleepover with a friend at Yorkland's home on Kentucky Ravine Road, a 12-acre property in Nevada City, California, the night she disappeared. Okay, so she left. Yorkland said the 16-year-old left in a pair of socks, light pants, and a light flannel. She was described as 5 feet 9 inches tall, weighing about 130 pounds. She has red hair and green eyes. And these are a couple of pictures of Trin. And this is her and her mom. Her aunt described Backus as very responsible and never wanted to run away from home. She was not extremely active on social media and had a small but good group of close friends. She's got a great head on her shoulders. She grew up to be an amazing human. We have found that she does have social media, so that is definitely something that not falsely reported, but not mentioned enough, I should say, because we have found a lot of social media pictures. Trinity appears to be a happy girl in almost all of her pictures. Backus's friend who was sleeping over does not know where Backus went the night of the sleepover and initially thought adults were overreacting. She thought Trinity was coming back, Yorkland said, adding that her friend didn't immediately seem to realize the severity of the situation. So it shows that Nevada County Sheriff's Search and Rescue helped aid in trying to locate Trinity that night. They even had deployed an airplane with infrared capabilities to conduct an aerial search for the teenager, which is it bothers me that they didn't find her that night. If they employed, they used some of their best resources. Okay, just give me a moment and I'm going to pull up a few other things that I have. So this is something that I had got from the New York Post. Maybe around 9:50 or 10, Trinity comes to our back door, opens it, and starts yelling. She says, "You guys need to get out of the house. It's going to blow. I have an open fireplace." Me and Logan immediately thought the house was on fire, Yorkland said. I went out there and looked, but there was nothing wrong. The fire's fine. The house is fine. And Trinity is yelling, "Everybody get outside. There's radiation. I can see the radiation." So that goes with the theory and the speculation that was going on at that time that Trinity was said to have been seeing radiation around the house. They were saying that because of the acid trip and because of her having a bong rip all at the same time, all of these things was going on. And because of these things all together, allegedly led to her leaving the home. Now, the only other thing that I can say is that the dog that they had out there lost her scent at the end of their driveway, at the end of their, where their gate was. So we are led to believe that she was possibly picked up. So yeah, it's all very, very odd circumstances surrounding Trinity's case. So I'm going to pull up this article. Okay, I figured that was a good stopping point. It's pretty much, the background of it. The rest was just a full article of the New York Post that I read. So I didn't want to have to, go back into read it again. It was just a full post, but basically a repeat of what I had just read. So,
well, that was really helpful, I think, for folks that did not know a lot. And it's also good for us that, have knowledge of the case or know a little bit, but don't really quite get details. Right. For instance, what you said about the social media, that she only had a small group of friends.
Yes.
And no social media. And I think we're going to talk a little bit about, kind of after we do the autopsy piece, a little bit about what I call the social autopsy, which is not just the physical pieces of this person's life and death, but the social, i.e. the family circumstances and the friend group, which of course we know at age 14, 15, 16, 17, really up till the college age, 22, the friend group really becomes almost like a family for young people.
Yeah.
And
we found a lot of, I was going to say, we found a lot of photos with her and her friends. And she appeared to be really happy in all of her social media. So it's just strange.
It is strange. And I think the friend group can be a positive thing, but sometimes a friend group or maybe somebody connected to a friend group can unduly influence people. I mean, even adults can be unduly influenced.
Shan, you're muted.
Shan, you're muted. I thought you were watching.
I've been kind of talking this whole time, but it's okay. So when you have like a group of 10 good influences, it's the same thing. It applies to almost everything else in life. Like you have those 1 or 2 negative influences, but I don't think that it's much with this case of Trinity.
Okay.
I think she was a happy girl that offered a solid friendship to her friends, and likewise, I think they had a tight-knit circle of certain people, and then the extension off of it is where it kind of gets a little. But before we slide into bringing Cause Thinks on and going into the autopsy, I just want to touch base on the discrepancies that I see within the timeline.
Okay.
I have 6 things written down, 3 of which apply to what Daisy just presented to us. And my question is, okay, so she had left her home and the not aunt's boyfriend, like before all this happened, while in the house, it is said that her friend Hannah and her were tripping on LSD and that Trinity herself took a massive bong rip. Okay. The question that I have there that we can slide into is if she took said thing, why did it not show up in her toxicology?
Yeah.
Okay, when they were doing this search using canines, they reported that Trinity's scent left at the front gate of the home, almost as to say she got picked up by somebody, and the scent was no longer found until she was found.
Okay, let me clarify that. So I know what you're saying, but I just want to clarify it for everybody.
The dogs lost her scent at the front gate.
There you go. And so the implication is
the front gate of the property, right there at where the road starts.
So I don't think she left on foot at all.
No.
That's just my theory, my opinion. It's kind of like with the Summer Wells case, like they lost her scent.
Yeah.
I don't think she wandered off into the woods. It's the same with Trin. I don't.
And then the social story of it as it was unfolding and the not aunt was putting information out there, she was saying Trinity was in the front yard dancing in her robe, a pair of pajama bottoms, and her socks. Things I want to point out is the not aunt, when police showed up, was wearing the robe. So how did the robe get off Trinity and onto the aunt? Did she throw it into the yard and her not aunt pick it up and put it on to go for the search? And then we can move into bringing Cause up and talking about the autopsy, because it all just goes together. I have 6 things written down that I feel are very valid key points to both stories.
Okay, so let's see if I didn't write your 6 things. I think you only got to 3.
Yeah, 3. I'm going to do the 3 that apply to the timeline, and then we can talk about 3 in the autopsy once we get through.
Okay, so the dog losing scent was one piece. The aunt having the robe on, and the alleged robe the robe that allegedly Trinity ran off in.
And the bong rips, the one bong rip that she was said to have taken from the person that was with her, why it wasn't in the autopsy that we're about to slide into.
Okay. All right. So I agree with you. I think that, and I have a lot of other questions.
I mean, if you want me to just finish this so you can write this down, because I think we agree on the autopsy. Okay. What I notice is she left the house in pajama bottoms, but was found deceased in tan shorts. When did she make the clothing change? Okay.
Or when were said pajama bottoms left somewhere and found, which they weren't.
That's what I'm saying. Yes. She was found with a necklace removed and her shirt removed and in tan shorts, not pajama bottoms. Where are the pajama bottoms? Okay. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. On the autopsy, we're going to notice that there's absolutely no foot wounds on the bottom of the feet, as to say trudging. I mean, cause goes into detail discussing that. And I want to know why no R kit was performed on this girl.
And you and I and Daisy have spoken at length about this case behind the scenes. And I have, as I'm sure you have, reviewed in great detail the specifics of the autopsy. And there are a lot of discrepant pieces.
Yes. And that's why I wanted to present cause. And I'm glad you guys went on your own and connected with one another. And then when I saw you were going to have her on your panel, I was like, yes, yes. The way that she puts this autopsy together is just, it's phenomenal work. It's every question that I have, minus her height. That is the only thing that I can explain away, is the reason why she's 2 inches taller, is in the process of how they do an actual autopsy and how you're presented and all that.
So, I mean, there are a lot of, I mean, I am on board with you. Cass's, and I don't know if it's Cass, I don't know. We're going to find out how to pronounce it.
Yeah, we need to find out.
Young person's name. But all of what she presented really takes that 20-page and distills it down very, very succinctly into the high points. And of course, she's so articulate that it really points to the pieces that I and you and Daisy, and I'm sure a lot of other people, found troubling. The one thing that I don't believe Cass went over, no fault of her own or anything, is was a little bit about the coroner and how they, I wanted to read a little bit about how they found, how the rescue people got to her, etc., because I think there are some pieces on that that are troubling as well. How do you all want to proceed? Would we like to
bring her up here? Just get her up here. Let's get this video going, because I'm telling you, like, she's brilliant. The way she presents it, articulates, the way she speaks is soothing. Plus, she adds a tiny bit of humor to get you through the depth of the.
Yeah, I can see if I can find an article too about what Cece's saying, how they had to use chainsaws to get to the area she was in.
Yes.
So, Dorsey, Camila, can you please send? I think we did send about a half an hour ago now. Tell me if I'm right, Dorsey. To Miss Cass, we did send a link for StreamYard. So she's onto her email. Is that right, Dorsey, Camila?
You can always drop it in chat as well.
Check on that.
But you can drop it in chat, and we'll just
drop it in
chat that this is just for her, for Miss Cass, just for her.
And if somebody comes in that you don't allow up here, you can just kick them out.
Yeah.
Or we can actually delete the link for you if you want. Right,
we can do that as well.
Here.
Once she's up here, we can delete it.
All right, just give me 1 second.
Okay.
I absolutely love this girl.
Don't have the link yet. That's really ready to hop on, she says. All right. I don't know if she knew she was going to be on the hot seat and that we were going to ask her to.
I'm so excited for this.
I don't know how long her presentation was there. Okay.
If you pull up the autopsy, I can still read too. You know, like we can.
Yeah, we have the sort of how I would like Cass to come up. But I really would like you to read, and I have your slides, by the way, Daisy. And there's a reason that I want you to read, not the autopsy at this time, but to read the first piece, which is really the crime scene investigator piece of the coroner, and a little bit about that, because there's some key things that are missing and that are discrepant.
Yep.
Okay, and I didn't know if you knew this, Latina, but CCTV was actually there when they found her.
Yes, so we might ask at some point. We might ask Cece to come up. I just don't want to ask so many people up that we dilute.
She'll probably just chime in chat. To be honest,
yes,
to have her chime in, because I have a feeling I think you guys, we're going to have another live maybe in a week.
Cece has incredible videos. If you don't mind, I'm going to go ahead and drop the link to her channel.
Sure.
Because she does do videos. She does have medias out there.
Okay, and can I read a comment? Because Cece said, Brandon made a comment and said he was told that she ran out back first. Then when Logan went back in the house, porch. She got out the front gate.
Yeah, she ran through the house and went through the front gate. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So Miss Dralatina, I guess, just sent you the link via email. Cass's question, Cass is asking, Cass is, perdón.
Oh, Cass, you don't have to close YouTube. If you want to leave it open, you can. But if you do leave it open, just mute the YouTube side.
So echo.
Yeah. I just want to put my condolences out there to Mr. Scott.
Yeah, he's in our chat tonight.
It's heavy.
Who's Mr. Scott? Please.
Friends Biodad.
Oh.
Yes, family is here. I want people to remain respectful.
Yes, and
my heart aches for this man.
And I read, and he really loved that child, and I extend my condolences as well. I don't know what his opinion is, and I just now knowing that you are.
My opinion on Trinity's case and Kylie's case, and these cases that we're looking at, is I would implore a biological family member to get a hold of this lab in Pennsylvania and see if you can get a DNA match to confirm that is what it is. So Mr. Scott, if he would be willing, I personally, if this was my child or my sibling or whatever, I would see about matching DNA to make sure that the DNA is 100%.
Their child, is that what you're saying?
Yes. Or their sibling or whatever.
No. But what are you concerned about? I have thoughts, but can you be more specific?
I am concerned of possible things that can be happening in the dark parts of traffic.
This area. Yeah.
I'm just going to say it. I'm concerned. I'm not saying in Trinity's case, I wholeheartedly believe that these babies have lost their lives. It's hard to talk about sometimes. It is. I can only imagine how these parents feel. But for my soul to rest, because you have 1 year to make certain that this is what it is.
Now, Brandon, Mr. Scott, I know they had her cremated, and we've got to look through the autopsy again. But
the lab still has her blood, her urine, DNA that could be tested and matched.
And it is concerning that if you look at the quote identification in this and in Kylie's case, there is, from what I could glean from reading both, I don't see any definitive identification. They base it on what we call presumptive identification.
Mm-hmm.
That is either, and I'm going to go through that in a little while, but just briefly, I will say in Trinity's case, I saw nothing about them doing fingerprinting. I didn't, which is one, dental records or DNA as the three standard, the only three of definitive identification of a body.
Is Cause having issues?
She says she's backstage. She said,
that's her.
There you are.
Hello. Hi, babe. How are you doing?
She has to unmute herself.
Yes.
Yeah. You have to press the little mute button at the bottom. There you go.
Yes. Hi there. Hello.
Maybe having technical problems.
Possibly.
I guess I'm not the only one. That's
Brandon said he is willing to do anything, so maybe we can help lead him
Okay.
in the right direction.
Mhm.
I will get information on how he could go about obtaining, because he's a biological father. He has right to her DNA for that first year. And then after that year, that statute of limitations runs out. The reason why I press this issue is I'm just going to go ahead and tell a quick backstory. My brother was in a kind of witness protection program where he moved to Canada. While in Canada, he mysteriously passed away at the age of 31 years old. Okay. It took us, like, when my dad went to go see my brother to confirm it was him, they said, oh, no. You don't want to go in and look at them. Look at a picture. This will confirm that it's, and it's weird to me that that's how some coroners run their business. Okay. And then another weird thing happened, which is similar to these cases, is my brother, upon us trying to get his remains from Canada to the United States here in Pennsylvania, we waited 3 weeks. And in that 3-week period, they allowed a partner of not even 6 months, didn't even live together, speed cremate his remains. And it took us 3 weeks to even get those remains back, his family. And the way that they're speed cremating these children, hurry up, concerns me as to, are these DNAs even matching? Like, is it what it really is? Because some scary things are going on in this world that people don't even want to see. And you can call me a conspiracy theorist, but until the facts and the proof is there, I have questions for law enforcement.
Well, I mean, I think that goes, I'm sorry to hear about your brother. That is horrible. And
this is why I fight like I do.
Mhm.
I hope people understand that now, that is my story. That is what drives me to get justice for these children and these people in these counties.
Yeah, I agree.
I wanted to welcome Cass Thinks. Are you able technologically to speak now?
That's why I was trying to just chat.
Yeah. And it's just silence.
Yeah.
Usually if they don't have like their audio, it'll tell you in the
It'll
back.
let
like,
you know.
Yeah.
Yes. That's odd. That's
It
very
is.
odd.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, hi.
Yes.
Hello. Yeah, I was trying to connect my fancy mic, but it's not happening. So
She's
I'll
like,
have to
nope.
use the built-in.
We love you, girl.
technology. All right.
Well, I just want to welcome you because I have been following you for several months and have also passed your link on to other YouTube creators and have been very, impressed by your keen mind and your keen research skills. So I just wanted to first ask you, I thank you for coming up. I wanted to ask you, how do you pronounce that K-A-S?
It's Cass.
Oh, it is Cass. Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
but Chandra has been calling me Kaz for so long, and I've come to like it. So I'm actually thinking of potentially changing it. But it was originally Cass, but I'm fine with Kaz.
See, I thought it might have been Cass instead of Kaz or Cat. Like, it's okay.
Yeah.
We'll say Cass Thinks. I got it now.
Okay.
Cass
Yeah,
Thinks.
I
Got
love
you.
them all. Cause is cute. I'm used to it by now because actually today is the 4-month anniversary of my channel. I started it on
Congratulations.
October 27th. Yeah, my little baby channel.
Well, October 27th is a
Congratulations.
really good number because that is my, rest in peace, my father, who was my hero. He had a birthday of September 27th, and that's 27 is our lucky number always in our family anyway. So that is good to know. So can you tell us a little bit, without divulging anything you're not comfortable divulging, about your personhood, location, or anything like that, but just tell us a little something about yourself. Number one, how did you become, other than just being born smart, how did you become keen as a researcher? And also, what else do I want to ask you? What are your goals for your channel, and how did you decide to do this?
Thank you, Dr. Latina. So first of all, I'm a Libra, just like your father. I was born in October. And as you probably know, Libras are passionate about justice and equality. My background, my training is in healthcare, and my occupation is in
Bless, girl.
healthcare research. And my last research project was actually on developing tools for healthcare workers to identify the victims of human tea. I do not want to get you demonetized further, but you know what I mean.
was right.
Yeah, so I'm very passionate about protecting our children.
Draw, you're muted, baby.
Oh, draw.
Okay, if you can put in the private chat what T means, I really don't know what that. I mean, I probably do, but I don't know what the abbreviation.
I'll put it for you.
Okay, and so can you back up, Cass, and say your last project? You don't have to say what it was, but I missed it because all I caught was T.
Yeah, it's in the private chat right now. So it's basically when humans are being moved illegally, and yeah, I'm very passionate about protecting our children from that. So that's the focus of my research, and then YouTube is my passion project, my side project, where I can just talk freely and be as professional or non-professional as YouTube allows me, just being myself and talking about what matters. And one of the goals I see for the channel is I'm also passionate about education. I've worked with kids for a very long time. So one of the goals for my channel is actually to gradually and in a soft and maybe entertaining way educate them so that when such documents as we are seeing in these cases are thrown at us, people have the vocabulary to actually interpret what we are looking at. Because I feel like with Trinity's autopsy, there was an issue of it being so convoluted and jumping place to place that I had an issue reading through it. It was an unreadable and poorly organized document, in my humble opinion.
Well, I think, those are noble. You're in a noble profession because when we're dealing with young people and the safety and justice for young people, that is really a noble cause. And I agree with you that we really do, both young people and adults need to be educated about critical thinking and about how to read some of these documents so that we can armor ourselves. Because I know it's very trite to say this, but knowledge is power. And I think especially amongst young people before the age of 25, before the age of 25, the brain really isn't formed well enough for young people to understand that they are not immortal and that the risks that they may be taking could be a forever risk with a forever consequence.
Yes, and when it comes to moving humans around illegally, of course, my passion is healthcare, because we know that 88% of victims seek health care at some point while being actively exploited. And I feel like there's definitely not enough tools in place to help providers identify the victims. And one of the issues I see with that is just the mythology surrounding the issue, because we expect people to get snatched off the streets, not realizing that actually 60% of the cases are happening through the families. The victims.
The familial, I'm sure you're familiar with this familial trap. Oops, familial, whatting. Let's say journeying.
Mm-hmm. Yes, journeying. Okay.
Journeying. Journeying. And what is ironic is I unfortunately have, in my practice, have worked with vulnerable communities for decades, and I unfortunately have seen this familial journeying right in front of my very eyes, and have sadly been, as I mentioned at the beginning of this chat, have been told, even as somebody who's tried to get help, that certain vulnerable communities it's part of their quote, quote, culture. So we don't really need, this is not me speaking, this is authorities at times speaking, we don't really need to involve ourselves in that. And the other thing that I found in my work is that because I've worked with certain vulnerable communities, am I still muted? No, I'm not muted.
No, you're good.
Oh, we can hear you.
Okay. And one of them is the Latin American Spanish-speaking community. I'll say it that way. And in certain sub-communities, because of the history of decades of civil war in the certain countries, we do see that there is familial I'm going to say journeying that happens very much in some honest way as a rite of passage.
Yes,
for people.
but in my cases here and what I'm seeing, I don't even think it's a familial thing that is happening. What I think it is corruption within law enforcement themselves, because I'm noticing the pattern with law enforcement and the drug teeing that is happening. And now you have human teeing that is also happening underground. And it's almost like they're instilling fear into these families to hush it up or else.
But I guess my point, no, I don't think in this case
and then they're contracting out these corrupt doctors that are like, oh yeah, we'll just use a template and change it out. Oh, look, we keep telling on ourselves because of that brain that keeps happening. The same whiteout, the same template is being used.
It's that.
I'm sorry. I'm calling it for what it is. And if people don't like that, I'm sorry about your problem.
And we're going to look at that. But I wanted to go back to what Cass was saying as far as the barriers in healthcare and the barriers for the vulnerable communities. I myself have had experiences where this is going back many years ago, not too many, but many, so that nobody can identify who they are, where my assistants, let's say medical assistants, nurses, whatever, who come from those vulnerable communities have either turned on me or other physicians or whatever and said, nope, I'm not going to back you up. I'm not going in the room as your chaperone or whatever, because these people come from my community and I can't, it will reverberate back and cause consequences for their families. Do you understand what I'm saying? So sometimes it is the fear that happens in certain communities can be so deep that even people in the healthcare field that are trying to serve those communities will be afraid to voice the truth because they're afraid of the repercussions. I just wanted to mention that. I know that's off the topic.
No, that's very, very interesting that you're bringing that up. It gives me more and more goals to pursue in life.
Well, we can talk behind the scenes at some point about that because it's something that is very sad and very real. How do you all want to proceed at this point with the autopsy?
I would love to pull Cass, if you have your video, if you would, all you have to do is hit the present button to show your video. If you don't want to sit for what is it, an hour and 14 something minutes. Yeah, if you want to put a little bit of speed up on it, that's fine by me. Like however you want to do it. I don't know if anybody has the link to your video up. If not, I can grab it as well.
Or do you want to highlight, or what would you like to do?
That's
we
up to
should
you.
probably go through the highlights so that we don't spend.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I'm gonna present your video.
Sure.
No, I will. Oh, yeah. Beautiful work.
Thank you.
What I'd like to do, I mean, I do think we need to highlight certain aspects, and but I really
that autopsy.
The first page of what I call the crime scene. I want to see if I can pick.
I don't know if her father wants to. Sit here during this process.
Okay.
If he would like to bow out, I respect him completely. I do not in any way expect these family members or these people close to her to sit through this over and over and over again.
Yeah.
If they do want to sit in and listen to our points of view and maybe think and ponder on it, that is their own they are free to do whatever they feel.
Yeah.
But there is trigger warning.
I would also recommend potentially watching it in replay so that you can watch it in pieces, and definitely don't do it alone. Make sure you're with someone, make sure you feel safe.
I did it alone. I do it alone all the time.
Yes, this live is not going anywhere. The
He
information
said,
will be out
he said
there.
he's good.
Okay.
Shan, do you have the actual autopsy you gonna pull up for me to read?
I have
Oh,
this.
okay.
Dorsey Camilita, are you still here?
Yes, we'll go ahead and let her
Let's
do
see if
it.
we can add this.
There we go.
All right.
And then if you use your control, if you're on Windows, Control Plus. If you're on Mac, you're going to hit Command Plus, or you can use the mouse wheel and zoom in on it so the viewers can see it with.
Is that what you mean? No.
It's not zooming in.
My dog is having a flip out, so I'm hoping Dorsey Camilita, because I've got to take her to the door here. Command Plus. See, I'm trying to figure out how to, like that?
Zoom it in. Yep.
No.
No, zoom it in. Nope, you went to the next page. No.
I know.
Use your mouse wheel and zoom in on it if you
I
can.
don't have a mouse wheel.
That's
That's
a trackpad.
Oh.
You gotta
Trackpad.
just swipe in.
Like,
right.
you know how you
Camilita.
zoom in on photos? Nope.
Yeah.
Okay. It's okay. We got
No,
this.
no. Now I'm really screwed up. Here, hold on. My dog is flipping out. Okay, Dorsey Camila.
Yes.
Could you please
Yep.
listen to Miss Shan and help her while I take your dog to the door?
Yay. Of course, now she's my dog. Okay, so what am I doing?
You're going to pull up the autopsy report on Trinity Backus. And when you pull it up, you're going to try to zoom it in.
Is it a Mac or a Windows?
Plus. You should be able, if you've opened the PDF, you should be able to hit the zoom in button. There's a
Is it
plus.
zooming in?
No.
I think it's only zooming in on my laptop.
That's odd. Okay, we'll just it's fine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Ooh, I gotta put my. I better grab my glasses.
Yep. Ooh, it's rough. I'll just pull it open on my end on my other screen.
Yeah, and I made it full screen on my side, so.
Yeah, I don't know why, but it's just changing my own screen to.
I know. I'm noticing that it's just going through the different pages on this end. Okay, that's okay.
Is this the first page? Is this the one she wanted me to read?
No,
No?
this is
No.
page.
Oh,
There's
okay.
first page. Yeah.
Or I could just share my screen and pull up the
I was gonna
presentation.
say that
so
would
you
be
can look at
easier.
the maps.
Yeah, I think your presentation is phenomenal. The way that you go through and point out.
John
each
wants me to
the autopsy.
read. She wants me to read that one paragraph. I think she said.
Yeah, second page paragraph. I do believe
So
it's the
after,
opening paragraph. Okay.
Yeah, I'm all for that. After.
Do you want to share your screen? Because I can just put that up too.
Oh,
Me?
I don't have that.
We just need page 2 of the autopsy report, honey.
Oh, there we go.
Or is it page 3?
Listen.
What is going on here?
Maybe right here. There's Draw Latina. Is this the page that you wanted us?
You're muted, baby. You're muted, Draw.
I wanted to go to page 1. Hold on. Our dog just had a little incident, Dorsey Camila, so that I was gone for. I'm sorry, guys. Is there not a way to get this bigger? Because I can't even see it. That's the problem.
Right.
No,
Oh my God.
I'm the same way over here.
Hold on. I was able to make my chat 10 times bigger font. What the heck? I don't understand that. That got bigger, but
and it's PDF, so I don't know why you can't zoom in.
Did that help?
No.
Shoot.
All right,
Dang
let
it.
me see if I can.
All right.
Give me 1 second.
All right. I'm on page 2 here. Oh my God.
Shan, do you think it would help too also if she makes it full screen, with the little toggles at the bottom where we're not shown on the screen?
Oh, hold on.
Oh yeah, if you take us to just make it a full screen.
Bear with me, children. Yep. Bear with me.
Apologies, guys.
Bear with me, child. Here we go. Is that good?
I can see it at least, but I'm on a 40 inch. So
it says
it'll be okay.
Cinema layout Shift+8. This is maddening, guys. Wait a minute. Okay. Is it any better or no?
It's a lot better than
I can read
screen,
it.
but it's legible.
Is that better?
Yes, we're good. Go ahead.
Because this is my whole full screen now. All I've got is. All right. Let me just. There are a couple of things I thought we were going to sort of be able to highlight. Boy. All right. Let me just go back to. All right. Let's just go back to page 1. And I am going to just very quick overview that this is from Nevada County Sheriff's Office. And this is written as Trinity Rose Backus's autopsy. And I want to just highlight a couple of things we're going to just quickly go through. One is, it says the usual address, or is it the email? Shoot. The address.
Do you want me to present it, honey? Do you want me to share my screen?
Yeah, because my dog is having some issues here. But I want to just highlight that there are no relatives down here. And
okay,
why don't you just start? Because I am.
Let me present.
You can click stop sharing, I think, Darlatina, and then Shan will pull up something, and then you just accept it like you did earlier. There we go.
Oh, 1 second. Get rid of that. Let me get rid of that. And there's that better? We happy now? Okay.
Yeah, it looks better.
So here we don't even have a usual address. Let me take these toolbars off. Why is it not? Well, nope, that is definitely not the button. That's not the button. Here. Let me see if it'll let me highlight. Nope, it's not for whatever. Oh, there we go.
Oh, there you
we
go.
have here. Is this better?
Darlatina, you're muted.
I know.
Right.
It's much better. Yes, it is. I'm just letting you drive because I had, between the dogs having accidents and barking, it was chaotic.
Yeah, so it was definitely weird that they didn't even have her address listed on here at all. It just has the city and the county. No relatives listed. I don't understand that.
That I don't understand at all.
And then if you look on identification right there, it says how she was identified was via her California driver's license.
Right.
So that is strange.
Okay. So I just want to jump in here and say, I just want to remind the chat, which I can't even see them anymore, is that there are only 3 ways really to definitively identify a deceased person, and that is via fingerprints, via DNA, and via dental. So if they wanted to say this is the initial way was via her driver's license, okay, but then we have to look later and see how did we do that. Also, the place of death, quote, rural area. What do you mean? There's no city, no. I guess they have the city, county, and I guess
it's because they're stating it's on federal property in the woods. It's a rural area.
Okay, go ahead.
She was trudging.
So the death reported search and rescue personnel, removed to coroner. Yes. So the cause of death, probable hypothermia due to prolonged environmental exposure. And then manner of death is accident, and describe how the injury occurred. Decedent died as a result of low temperatures in the environment.
And this is, and then this one right here is put on the record as word of mouth. Like this isn't even, they're just saying, oh, somebody told me this is what she did, so we're going to put this on this report.
Right. I also, if you look at the date of injury, again, because they really don't have a good history, right? As there's discrepancies in the history. So when was the injury? And let's remind folks that she apparently went missing at about, 10:30 p.m. on the 9th?
Yes.
Of, which was a Wednesday night of November of 2022. I want to ask the question: what time was she reported? Not what time did they notice the unaunt and the unaunt's boyfriend that she had gone running off and whatever they said she ran off.
It was something after a little after 11 or 12 a.m. like 11 p.m. or 12 a.m. I think it was like 12:15 when she was reported.
That is correct, because what they said is that the report of her missing was actually on the 10th. So there was a time gap. Go ahead.
Wait, before we move on. So I have the call log in front of me. So I do want to mention that at first there was a 911 call that was an abandoned hang up call. So it's like someone called 911, because this is all on the same call log. Someone called and then hung up.
And what time was that at? Do you know? Do you have that? Or
this was on the 9th at 23:15. So that's what, 10:15?
Cass just put up
23 is 11:15.
Oh, 11:15. 11:15.
Okay, Cass, why don't you unmute and pipe in? You're free to do that. That would help us.
I think, if I remember correctly, that Trinity went missing Thursday night, and then I'm not too sure when she was reported missing, but I think it was Friday noon, and then her remains were found Saturday afternoon before 3 p.m. And someone correct me if you have different information, please.
I do believe you're correct, because you have to wait a certain amount of time before you can report somebody missing in California. Here it's an hour, so.
So after the 911 call, hang up at 11:15, it then says on callback, caller advises her 17-year-old niece is missing from property, advises the daughter's friend that was over for sleepover, woke them that the niece was missing, unknown where, they were out looking for her. And that was at 11:17. So 2 minutes later, after the hang up call, they called back.
And do you have the date on that? That's what I'm asking.
This is all on, that was 11:09 on the night.
Right. So that was actually Wednesday night.
Yes, that was the 911
so right before
call
midnight. Yeah.
Right. So I think, Cass, it was Wednesday that she went missing, and I think she was found, but we'll see. Correct me if I'm wrong, on Friday, the 11th.
Yes.
Okay.
The first 911 call went in on the 9th, right before midnight.
Okay.
And I find it interesting that we're having like these issues with the dates, because if you guys remember, from the very beginning of the case, it was unclear when she went missing.
Yes.
There were reports both about Wednesday and Thursday night. So even all these months later, people and followers of the case were still confused at what was it actually.
I totally agree with you, Cass. And I myself had to go back through and try to find when I made my little 4-minute post about this a couple weeks ago, because it was unclear. Was it she found on the 11th? Was she found on the 12th? And I think the muddying of the narrative is part of the problem here.
Exactly. Yes. From the very get-go, starting from the maroon robe and then the timing. So the timing was off, the clothing was off, but let's not jump ahead.
Okay. I want everybody, before Daisy proceeds, to notice, because I think Daisy and Shan are going to go back over these coordinates of where was she found,
Well, that's why we were going to use Cass's video, because she does the coordinates, the mapping, everything in her video.
Okay.
Yeah, when we get to that part, we can show Cass.
We can pull that up.
Yeah, I'll pull her video up. I'll go through it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So continue.
Okay.
So do you want me to may I make a couple of comments?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go ahead.
Here, first of all, her height
That could be redacted. Yes.
is different from what was published. And the other thing that I wanted to mention that we have yet to mention is the initial missing poster for this child, this underage minor child, Trinity, did not have her surname or her family name on it. I have never in my life seen a legal document for a missing child that does not contain her family name. Because when you go to look, like for me, when I see a missing poster, I immediately try to Google and to look. Oh, good. CC says it was found. Yes, good. Friday, and CCTV was there, as was the grandma. So I've never seen where the missing poster wouldn't contain the child's family name. Because right there, then how do people come forward and say, oh, I know that child. Oh, my goodness, I saw her the last time I saw her. There's no way for folks that are within the circle of friends even, or maybe 3 circles outside that, to know who Trinity really is. That I found trouble. Continue. Sorry.
Then you have the place of birth. It's not there. They actually listed her as a juvenile on this. Kudos for that, because on Kylie's it was not. The
Correct.
social security number should be there and redacted. And there is no DNA taken, but that's kind of a fib because you took DNA when you took the blood sample.
Mm-hmm.
And that they said it was refused. By
No,
whom?
it's
No,
DNA
it was
refused.
no.
No. DNA is
Oh, it was not refused.
It was
But,
not.
No.
okay. But it was not taken. I
Right.
will see.
Yeah, that's odd. It's odd.
Yeah, why wouldn't they put yes right there? I don't know.
Yeah, because here's time reported.
So on the 11th, the day they found her at approximately 2:30, the decedent was pronounced deceased on 11/11.
Deputy Coroner Cody Johnson.
She was located by members of search and rescue, and she was pronounced deceased at 3:37 by Deputy Cody Johnson. She was found
Deputy
at the
Coroner.
yeah. Following coordinates, and we have that. We'll show that on the map.
Backus video. I'm gonna get used to this name.
So they don't know if she was an organ donor. No medical information. Cause of death pending pathologist's findings.
Okay, so right here, this is part of the crime scene, right? Because investigator, the coroner, correct? This is not the actual autopsy. This is the same problem that we had in Kylie Rodney's case, where there is no medical. Is she on any medications? Was she on anything? Unknown. So how is it that somebody could be missing, a child could be missing, even if it's for 5 hours, 10 hours? Where is the medical information?
Yes.
And another thing I wanted to point out, I think we just went through it, is that she was identified by her driver's license.
Right there. I just highlighted it, honey.
Yeah, but yet it was a no. It's listed that whether she was an organ and tissue donor or not is unknown. How can it be unknown if it's written right
on the driver's license? It'll tell you whether you are or you're not, or unless you're under 18, you're not allowed to be an organ donor. So they should know. They should know that she can't be one.
Okay.
Weird.
That is weird. That's another discrepancy. That's excellent. Okay.
Yeah, but because she's under 18, Kiki, they wouldn't be able to list it on there. She can't be an organ donor under the age of 18. You can't consent to that.
Is that so in California?
I was about to say, because my son was able to choose whenever he got his license.
Well, then there's Kiki's good question. If somebody wants to highlight Kiki's.
What is Kiki's question?
Kiki says, wait, she had a car, so she had a license. So she would have either been an organ donor or not, correct?
Well, let me look at California, because we live in New England, and in New England, my children could choose to be organ donors even when they weren't.
Well, that makes it even worse, because they have her ID to ID her, but they don't know if she's an organ donor, which it should say it right there on the ID.
Okay, so I'm looking at organdonor.gov, and it says that in California, if the young organ donor is under 18 years old, they must always have parent or legal guardian permission to donate. So yes, they can, but with permission of the guardian or parent.
Okay, and so regardless of whether the Trinity had permission or didn't, on the organ, I mean, in the states where I've had driver's licenses in my years, there's always a place where you can put yes or no. So how is it that they say unknown? It still goes back to the same question, right?
Unless she had a permit, just one of those papers that kids drive with in California. I don't think that type of document specifies it.
Mm.
Anyone from
Okay, let's-
California?
Somebody said that they thought somebody could only be had to be 18. Well, if that's true, then Kylie Rodney shouldn't have had a car or been able to drive. I believe until the age of 18 in California, or if you get your license, let's say
17, it's a permit or so
you're on
many
a
hours.
provisional driver's license, not a permit, but you can have a
Provisional,
license,
yes.
but you have to be on provisional with curfew, etc.
I think it's 40 hours driving, or have somebody with you in the vehicle that's 25 if you are under the age of 18.
There you go. All right, so let us proceed. You're driving, aren't you, Miss Daisy?
Yeah. Do y'all want to? This marks, scars, and tattoos. Those are pretty accurate as far as we know. Correct.
Yep.
Okay.
As far as I know.
Yeah. So next of kin, Andrea Backus, the decedent's mother, who resides at, and it gives her address, was the next of kin and notified in person by Deputy Damian Norden on 11/11/2022 at approximately 2:28
p.m.
Yeah,
Okay,
2:28
and then my question is, if the next of kin is right there in plain sight, why is she not listed
as a
on
relative.
as a relative? Because
Correct.
this is next of kin.
Correct.
Yep.
She's not
Well,
listed. It's odd.
sorry.
It's a discrepancy.
It is a discrepancy. I'll take back the word sloppy. We'll just say discrepant. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so for the investigation on the above date and time, I was requested to respond to the Pleasant Valley Elementary School campus to meet with members of the Nevada County Sheriff's Office Search and Rescue Team. I was informed members of the Yuba County Sheriff's Office Search and Rescue Team had located the decedent, who was reported as a missing person on 11/9/2022, referred to, and it has the report number for further details of the missing persons investigation.
Ugh.
Now this is going to get interesting right here.
All of it.
Okay. Oh,
All of it.
this is so much. Okay.
I know.
So the scene, the decedent was located by members of Yuba County Sheriff's Office Search and Rescue Team, and it has the coordinates, which is a very rural area off of Kentucky Ravine Road in Nevada City, California. The area the decedent was located was thick with foliage and brush several hundred feet north of the main roadway. The ravine in which the decedent was located was difficult to access, even on foot. That's major right there.
This is huge.
Due to the amount of trees and brush surrounding it. So if it was difficult to access for them, how did she? Okay,
Access was made by members of search and rescue teams utilizing chainsaws to remove tree limbs.
Right. The ravine itself was small in size, and the decedent's legs were pressed against a root system located within the ravine. There were marks in the mud a short distance above the decedent, which could be indicative of the decedent slipping in the mud before coming to her final resting position
She fell
against the root
uphill,
system.
is what they're trying to say.
Yeah, and I don't understand that.
Yeah, we're going to get specifics on that because that general statement is I call that into question, and I think you all do too, based on what we call the anatomic position of a human being.
Yes.
Not only in life, but then there's an anatomic typical position in death. And you'll see the description of how she was found. And it in my opinion, as a physician, seems almost impossible for somebody to end up in the exact position that she was found. Okay.
Yeah, almost like she was placed that way.
Correct.
This
Correct.
is why I love Cass's video.
Okay, wait. The other paragraph, the outside temperature was approximately 46 degrees Fahrenheit at the time of discovery. I was also informed by members of Search and Rescue that a necklace and sweater were located approximately 250 to 300 feet south of her location. I located the necklace, which had a silver-colored chain with a green stone in a moon shape and a gold-colored moon design attached. This item was in the ravine area, and has the coordinates. A short distance away in the ravine, I located a black and gray Argyle styled sweater and the coordinates for that. And if you guys remember her last selfie, the last photo that we had of her, she was wearing that gray Argyle styled sweater. Both items were later booked into the sheriff's property unit as safekeeping, not as evidence. It's safekeeping. That's strange.
That's interesting.
It's interesting that they don't say for safekeeping, as you medically.
Right?
But it still shouldn't even be safekeeping. That should be evidence. It's like they're trying to tiptoe around the words that they're using, and I don't like it. Okay, and then they go in to describe the chain and the green stone and the moon shape and gold color design attached. Okay, but what they don't say, I located a black and gray Argyle is a type of material, not a pattern. Okay, so why are they not, like, they're doing so much description, but you can't say that it's a diamond pattern?
Right.
Like, it's odd to me. It's just things that were left out, and then like they're focusing that hardcore on her jewelry as to say, it's just weird to me. It's very weird to me that they're focusing on these kids' jewelry, but not what they're actually wearing. It's almost like they don't want that to embed in your mind that she wasn't found in what she left the house in.
Right. There's no mention of her pajama pants.
Correct.
At all.
Or the robe that the aunt had on.
Right.
And I have a quick question about her jewelry. Why was it all removed right away?
Well, this is what they found this. They remember in your video how they located it in a whole different area. So they found the necklace in a whole different area and her shirt in a whole different area from
where she was. Yeah.
Okay, so it's going to be in the end of the next paragraph then, because whatever was on her body, they also made sure to remove that for safekeeping as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she did still have on her bracelets, I think, and her rings, but her necklace and her
her rings and her bracelets were all taken off of her, despite the fact that she was found wearing those.
Right, when she arrived for autopsy, she had nothing on, which I thought was troubling.
Right?
So, yes.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Shannon, you want to read the body position?
Okay.
I can read it.
Go ahead, Cass.
Okay, Cass.
Yeah, these things don't scare me. The decedent was lying supine in a ravine. The decedent's left leg was bent at the knee, with her left foot resting near her groin. The decedent's left ankle was pressed against a large root of a tree that had fallen across the ravine, with most of her leg elevated in an upright position. The decedent's right leg was resting in a straight position. Both decedent's hands were resting on the top portions of her legs, with her arms slightly bent at the elbow. And shall we pause right here? Because
Okay, so I just want to review that there are two positions. One is supine, and the other is prone. So the supine position is when somebody is lying face up essentially on their back, let's say, with face up. Prone position is when a person is lying face down. So let's go back. She's lying face up because I want people to be able to get a mental image, right? With
left leg is resting in a straight position, and the right leg is pressed against her thigh, almost in the shape of a 4.
I think it's the other way around. Her right.
The left leg was
straight.
The right leg, excuse me. The right leg is straight. Her left leg is making a number 4.
Yeah,
yes, but also her knee is propped up against the tree.
Yes, and the right leg is propped up against a root system of a tree.
Yes.
All right, so let's start again, guys. I want to just clarify this again.
Okay, go ahead.
Let's just forget the left leg for now. Let's start, since we're talking supine position, and generally the supine position is with both legs face up and a person lying face up with both legs straight. That's the typical supine.
More natural position, yes.
When you're not dead.
Natural, yes.
Now let's go. So she's face up and her right is straight. So that's consistent with the supine position, right? Correct? I mean, the left leg, however, is bent. Can you reread this, Cass? It's
Yeah, it's bent at the knee with the left foot resting near her groin, which means that the left foot was against the inner. So the sole of the or the side of the left foot would be against her inner right thigh.
Inner upper right thigh.
Yes.
Right.
So we're not even talking like it was just by her ankle, or her knee. It's way
really pushed up there. It's really
yes,
pushed
it's way
up there.
pushed up, and which connotes or
natural.
implies that it's open. That that, like you said, it's in a four position. A four position. Right? Okay.
Yeah. So instead of a 4 position, her knee is actually, it seems like, is.
So wait, it isn't her right leg. So this is weird. Her left ankle is pressed against the root system. So what's making the 4 is also she's pushed. That's pushed into a tree.
I know. Wait, guys.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. So
Yeah.
okay. So I don't mean to.
No, I did
very
read that wrong. It is the left. Wow.
Yes,
this is
so-
Let's
odd.
start again, guys,
is
because
even
this is
odder.
very confounding. So who wants to read that again?
Yeah, the decedent's left leg was bent at the knee with her left foot resting near her groin.
Correct. Okay.
The decedent's left ankle area was pressed against a large root of a tree that had fallen across the ravine, with most of her leg elevated in an upright position.
That's odd.
So her left leg is slightly elevated
So it's
in an
it's
upright
not
position.
laying outwards and relaxed.
Right.
It's up in the
Up.
air, and the ankle is pressed against the tree.
And it's also bent at the knee near her groin. So it's almost
Oh
like
my
she's forming a point with her knee, yeah.
So, tell me if I'm wrong, guys, but the way I'm seeing this in my brain is then her groin then pushed up against the tree root? Because how is her left ankle?
I'm gonna draw it.
Yeah,
It's gonna be
how is it
childlike, but I will draw it.
okay? Because how is her going to be both groin
I'll use
and by the root?
Yeah, that makes sense, Latina, because her left ankle was pressed
Mhm.
against the root,
Correct.
and it also says her left foot was resting near her groin. So
Correct.
there was a large root area right there. Ugh.
So does that mean? So maybe I'm making it in my mind that she slid down, but it's a very strange position to end up in, guys. That's all I'm gonna
Yes, very,
Exactly,
very.
because how do you slide down with a straight leg? That doesn't-
correct. You are correct. Yes.
Let
Curled
me figure out. Oh, I don't have my stylus. My apologies.
Okay. Because what Cass pointed out, and
Let
you
me see if this
in
will
her
show.
presentation, and I know what Daisy and you.
I need to stop my screen for a minute. You have to reshare it once I represent it. I'll just share my window.
Share it. Okay.
Okay.
Is that there are certain normal positions, both just in the resting position of human beings, both alive and deceased, and there are certain normal falling positions, right? And people, if they're falling or sliding, generally don't slide with their
What is happening here?
extremities splayed open. Let's just put it that way.
Okay, so this, and I hate that I even have to be drawing this, guys. My apologies. Like, I don't mean to do this disrespectful. From what I am gathering, there is a tree system here.
You're very artistic.
One leg is straight this way, okay? This other leg isn't bent at a 4 like this. It is straight up in the air. So let me undo. And I will try to draw her from a side point of view, okay? So
Yeah,
this
and
would
Shanda,
be-
I think the left side of her body is against the tree.
Mm-hmm.
Standing.
I'm going to say
Yes.
this is what's happening. I'm sorry this is so childlike, but I'm going...
Don't worry about it. It's helpful. It's helpful to visualize.
Like, I believe that her ankle is against here. This leg is up in the air, okay?
That's right. Yep. Oh,
And
good.
then her other foot is laying like so.
There you go.
Yeah,
Her
brilliant.
hands are coming down here and here.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, so that's a really good depiction. In that sense, if she had slid, don't take that away. Oh boy.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I could put it back up. I'm sorry. My bad.
If she had, let's say I'm just trying to be fair, let's say it that way. If she
I
had
just believe this
slid,
is further up, but we're
Yeah, her left leg I think was closer in her, but yeah.
by her groin.
It's
Mhm.
literally way up further.
Yes, it's way up.
It's almost pushed on itself, pretty
Exactly.
much. Let me.
But let's say she slid down that way and she came to rest like that. Okay, let's just say that give the fairness that that's how she came to rest, because she slid and the tree stopped her and pushed her leg up again.
Position.
It's a strange position to have the ankle all the way into the groin, number one.
Yes.
And what is not normal, so to speak, is the position of her
high up.
Yes. Is the position of her two hands on her thighs.
Right. That
is not an anatomic position for anybody that's falling to have their hands like that. And then let's say she was mortally wounded. You don't leave your arms like that. If you're you're going to go more into the fetal position of a self-protected position. Do you know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yes, that's what you were saying about hypothermia. Like you were saying, you would be in a fetal position.
Yes.
Not in this.
Her hands would be curled up more towards her neck and her collapse area, or you know what I mean, up on her stomach.
She'd try to be curling into herself.
Exactly. And people might say, well, she was mortally wounded, so no. But the reflex position.
I'm trying to be respectful, Sifa. I'm sorry. Like I hate to have to do that, but
so the reflex position, even if you're mortally wounded, your brain still has these primitive reflexes. And so part of that is protection. And so part of that is to bring your extremities, and if you can't move your legs, let's say, to bring your other extremities closer to yourself, not just to have them splayed open like that.
Yeah, it's very unnatural.
Especially if you're hypothermic and you're not wearing a top.
Right. So then let's continue with what she was wearing. Oh, go ahead, Kaz.
I also want to
My apologies to the family.
Yeah, Shanda, you did well. It was a helpful illustration. It's a difficult topic.
I'm sorry, guys. Like I am.
Next, it says both decedent's hands were resting on the top portions of her legs, with her arms slightly bent at the elbow. And this is the spot where I also wanted to pause, because anyone who is falling or sliding is going to try to catch themselves up, maintain equilibrium, grab the ground. You don't really fall into a position with your hands on your leg.
No.
Right, Dr. Latina? What do you think?
Absolutely no. That's why I'm talking about like the normal, what we call the anatomical position, which is in an anatomic person that's not in any trouble. Yeah, the arms may be extended, or they could be flexed at the elbow, and they're not in a quote fetal position. But in order to protect your brain, which is what people want to do, their head when they fall, it is a primitive reflex to put your arms and protect your face and your head. And if you're cold, and I know some people are saying, well, that
she was overheating, and we'll give that. But to me, the fact that she is nude, she would be clutching her breasts, in my opinion. In my opinion.
Well, just also talking about a slide/fall. The position that she's down
to me would be more arms extended straight out, because you're falling.
Maybe, but
I don't know.
Usually when you're falling, you're trying to protect yourself.
I'm not an expert in that.
So to me, when you're falling, generally, unless she was put her arms out to break her fall as she's sliding. So, there are different things, but the way that the bottom line is to come resting in that position with your two hands on your thighs. It's just something.
The thighs are odd. That's an odd position.
Either you're going to have it splayed out because you were trying to hold yourself back to stop yourself, like to break yourself.
I would more so, picture her hands trying to grab the tree to catch herself.
Or protect your head or whatever. So this is a very troubling description. And to me, it seems unnatural. And it seems, quite frankly, I'm not a forensic, but I'm going to just say, as a physician, let's just say, it seems posed. It does not seem natural. Okay. Now, what? Tell me, somebody want to read what she was wearing?
Do you want to continue about the rest of that paragraph?
Yes,
Yeah,
please.
or Daisy, you want to go on?
Yeah, the decedent's head was slightly bent backwards, resting on a pile of rocks on the ground. The decedent's eyes and mouth were both in an open position. The decedent was wearing a pair of what appeared to be tan-colored shorts. However, the shorts themselves only went to the top of her thigh area. The decedent was not wearing any further clothing.
So this is a little poorly described because at first blush, I'm thinking, is she wearing tan sort of boxer, little, women's boxer undershorts?
Yeah,
and they go
Tan color shorts. They clearly gave the description of what they are. I don't think those were tan boxers.
No, I don't mean boxers as in loose boxers. Hear me out for one second.
Gym shorts.
Or boy shorts.
Boy shorts.
And let's say she has them on all the way, and the shorts themselves are only at the top of the thigh area because they're underpants. You see?
Mm-hmm.
And so they're on. That's one option. The other option is that the whole set of shorts were not on her, but the top, which is the waist, let's call it that, of the shorts, are at the top of her thigh area, so they were pulled down.
Exactly.
And
that's where I'm like, and I hate that I have to picture this and do what I do, but okay. So whether you're falling up a hill, trying to trudge up it, or you fall down a hill, you're going to get a wedgie rather than your pants pulling off of you. It's almost like she was dragged backwards.
No, I agree with you. It doesn't make sense, but I'm trying to.
Your pants literally, like your shorts shouldn't be where they are anyway. Even if she's taking them off, like where are her pajama bottoms if you found her necklace of all things?
Yeah.
Were there DNA on these pants and somebody took them? Where are her pants? Where are her pajama bottoms? Somebody please answer me that. Where are her pajama bottoms?
That is strange because they made sure in the report to say that she did leave in her pajama pants, and there's no record of it being found.
Correct.
We have that last picture of her in the Argyle diamond black and gray red robe pajama bottoms. We can account for the robe. We can account for the shirt. Where are this child's bottoms?
And I agree with, I understand what you, Doctora Latina, are saying about the shorts only going to the top of her thigh area. However, I do think that they're talking about shorts being slid down, because if we think about it, the shorts always go to the top of the thigh area. If
I know, right? I just wanted to know what your guys' interpretation of this is poorly described.
I don't understand if they're talking about the bottom of her shorts going to her thigh area and they're pulled up, or if the top band is at the thigh.
I agree with Cass. I think it's the latter, because as Cass said, if somebody's wearing shorts and they're shorts, they only went up to the top of the thigh area, implies that they were pulled down.
Yeah, that would imply that they were looking at it from how do you say that? A picture of like how you would be putting them on.
And that
it's like they weren't up all the way.
Up.
They were only up to the top of her thigh area. So they
is that what that's what I think. And what do you want?
Because they followed up with the descendant was not wearing any further clothing.
Correct.
Like they painted a whole picture there.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. I'm curious in a minute to what Cass is going to pine in on. But if you look at the way they describe her, the body position, they're describing it from her feet, legs, thigh. So they're going from what we call the distal aspect of the person, and they're coming proximally or towards her center. So then they get to the shorts.
They should start with the head. They should start with the head and go down for sure.
Well, they really should. But they went the opposite way. So now they're heading up towards her groin area. And that's where they're saying that the pair of shorts only went to the top of her thigh area. And then they're going further, call it proximally, towards her center, towards the belly button, and then up to the head. And that's when they say the decedent was not wearing any other further clothing. So the way I would read this would be that the waist of her shorts, waist, was down at her groin area. Okay. It wasn't the bottom of her shorts. It was the waist was down at her area.
That's how
I think otherwise they would point out that the shorts were covering like from her belly button or her upper hip area down to her thigh area.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, they make it a point to say that however the shorts themselves only went to the top of her thigh.
There you
That
go.
word only means a lot.
It does mean a lot. So for me, and I think you guys are agreeing, it's troubling. Forgetting, guys, we're going to go back and chat if Chad is even still with us here.
That's why I have to keep standing up. Like it's heavy. Like my heart breaks for Cece and Brandon and her family, because like they were just handed this as just an acceptance letter. Like I can't accept this. And I can see, as far as I can see, like her biological father sees something is suspicious in, you know,
so,
and my heart truly breaks. Like I am trying to maintain my composure. I don't truly know this girl, but I feel I'm learning these children as I'm learning each case file, and the resemblances and the discrepancies and the same issues we have and the linking and all of that. Like I can't pretend like I don't see what I see.
Right.
So it is heartbreaking, but it also, to me, as a parent,
I cannot imagine being a parent of this child.
No, I can't either. But if I were, I can tell you right now, I would want an R kit to have been done based on this position of the body and based on the location of the shorts and the fact that there ain't no pajama bottoms found along that route where they found the sweater and the necklace. I, as a mommy, would say, I want to know if my child was violated. Yes. And I think you know what I mean by that. And therefore, you know, she deserved, and the parents deserved, in my opinion.
This child deserves the justice.
Child deserved an R kit. Yes. And was an R kit done? And we know the answer to that. But
right.
So you guys want to continue, or?
Yes.
Cass, do you want to read, or you want me to read?
Sure. The decedent had numerous abrasions, lacerations, and bruising present on her head, arms, stomach, and legs. And as we already discussed in my video, that abrasions,
incredible.
Abrasions, thank you so much, Yanda. Abrasions mean scratches and scrapes. Lacerations mean cuts. And we all know what bruising is. And it's present on her head, arms, stomach, and legs. These injuries. Oh, sorry, Daisy.
I was just gonna say, this part of the autopsy that said a lot to me, because they were mostly found on her stomach. So if she was found in the supine position, but most of these abrasions, lacerations, and bruisings were.
And there was no bruising on the stomach, if I'm not mistaken. It was a lot of cutting on the stomach.
Right. That's what I mean. I'm saying, like, the fact that a lot of the injuries were on the, how did you say that, Draw Latina? The underside of her body?
The part that would have been, if she had been lying down, it would have been the prone position.
You can say front and back, so that the chat and everyone follows.
Yes. So, but it does say that the decedent had numerous abrasions, lacerations, and bruising present on her head. Okay, we'll have to find out more about that. Arms, where on her arms?
Right.
Stomach. Well, to me, this is obviously not a medical person here. Stomach really means what? The abdominal area. So that's from below the breast, chest area down towards the pubic area. So so did she have bruising there? We'll have to see. And the legs, where on the legs? And this is going to be very telling, I think, when we finally get to the autopsy.
Okay.
Go ahead.
These injuries varied in size and depth. These injuries were consistent with the report that she was traversing a densely wooded area with little to no clothes on.
Okay, and then
to pause here also real quick, just a very quick commentary. When people are suffering from hypothermia or they're freezing, they're dying because of the dropping body temperature, they do tend to take their clothes off towards the end of life, but it usually happens right before. So I would politely disagree with the statement that she was traversing a densely wooded area with little to no clothes on.
And I would
Sure.
totally agree with you, because generally with hypothermia and even hyper, it's a last moment, I'm going to say gasp effort, not respiratory gas, but your last chance to try to just disrobe. It's not something you disrobe and then you run through the woods. It's nonsensical,
Exactly.
physiologically nonsensical.
Yes. Should I read on?
Sure.
The decedent had a large amount of redness and bruising from apparent injuries to both of her lower legs across the knee and shin areas.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. We're going to speak on that in a few minutes. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
so that's like the front of her body, the knee and the shin area.
Correct.
Yeah.
Now, so there you're talking not the back of her legs, but the
Right.
knee, right? The front, the
Mhm.
shin, the bone around the front. So all of that, and they're ascribing that maybe to her having traversed densely through this dense wooded area with no clothes on. Mhm.
But the feet just don't add up. Let's keep
Exactly, and also no,
like,
they
and I
don't.
don't mean to chuckle at
No, this gallows.
it's the discrepancy and I'm sorry, the BS that is within this report that makes me scoff or chuckle. It's nothing.
It's an
My heart
ironic.
breaks for this family and this child.
Yeah, it's an ironic chuckle.
Okay, let's carry on.
Carry
Upon
on.
arriving at Hooper and Weaver Mortuary, I viewed and photographed the decedent's nude remains. Upon doing so, I observed the decedent to have lividity present on the decedent's back. There were 2 spots where lividity was not present on her back, however, they appeared to correspond to her positioning against rocks and foliage she was lying in. The decedent also had lividity present on the backside of both of her legs.
Which makes
I want to pause here because the next sentence has nothing to do with any of the previous ones, and I just wanted to ask Doctora Latina to maybe explain what lividity is in a simple language.
Yeah, so it's basically the pooling, Pooling, the pooling of a person's blood, and it's pooled where gravity pulls it. So, for instance, let's just say a person is totally in the supine position. They're on their back, both legs are straight, and I'm just saying this, and both arms are to their sides, straight down along their sides. The pooling, the lividity pattern, or the pooling would be, think about it, their buttocks area, their back, right? Because gravity, they're against the soil area. And the back of the legs, that would make sense. What doesn't make sense here, guys, is that they've just finished saying that she had her, what was it? Please remind me, the left leg was flexed at the knee and it was against the tree. No?
Yes. The left ankle was against the tree.
So how did
bent
the leg
upwards in a 4?
Correct. So how did the back of her leg have lividity?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Oh, that doesn't make sense.
You see?
That's what one thing I presented, and that's why I had to talk. Like, I was like, Daisy, you have to get a hold of Dr. Salerno. Like, we need to discuss this, because if she has passed laying completely on her back and the lividity proves that both of her legs were flat in a natural position, how was she found with her leg upright, propped against her, between her left leg was propped between her and a tree?
Correct.
But the lividity is showing differently.
So
than how she passed.
That is right. And so it takes a while for lividity to happen, right, guys?
Yes.
But my question is, and even if somebody goes into rigor mortis, they then, after a certain amount of time, they don't have that anymore. And then you can bend and flex and pose and do whatever you want. To me, it is troubling to see the way they've described many things here, and then to say that the lividity is on the back of both legs. Again,
in my visual aspect, where I see where the lividity should be is in the left foot, bottom of the foot region, the ankle area, and mainly in
the
like
bottom
the
of her right leg.
Shanda, you want to say right because her right leg was
Or
straight.
right. I'm sorry. I keep confusing the two. I'm sorry.
And Draw Latina, I have a question. So, how long before lividity does like show up? Like, does this coincide with the time she was missing and time found? Like,
Yes.
that it does?
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
it can happen quite quickly, but
Okay.
and that's why when there's so much in terms of timing that we have to also look at, because when we get to the autopsy, we'll see like what was in her gastric contents, what was in the tox screen, and if somebody took a hit of something and they died within a half an hour, why is it negative on this, or why do they have low levels of LSD? So there's a lot of things in terms of the timeline that don't match up. The lividity can happen fairly quickly. And again, I don't understand why she was found in one position and the lividity is not consistent with that position.
Yes. Correct.
And I use the word, it's nonsensical. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
So
the
it says
decisions.
that,
Sorry. Go ahead, Daisy.
I was just rereading that spot because it says it corresponds to her positioning against rocks and foliage. So was she not laying against the tree?
Wait, hold on. Say that again. I'm sorry. I was looking at SK Steffi's.
I will re-highlight it.
Yeah, it says, so there were two spots where lividity was not present on her back. However, they appear to correspond to her positioning against rocks and foliage she was lying in. So she was not lying against a tree, but yet her left leg was propped up.
Okay, so that's where, yes, well, so there's the supine position, which we talked about, the person totally lying on their back. And then we also talk about the lateral, meaning on your side, lateral supine position. Maybe she was somewhat supine, but she was a little bit off the ground. Their description of being
lividity on her right side, down the side of her, if she's at an
correcto. This is just, guys, this is just not,
Yeah.
Okay, should I carry on?
Yes,
please.
The decedent's irises, and that's not how you spell the plural iris?
No.
They have that down as an incorrect possessive form, but no, it's supposed to be SES.
This is so unprofessional.
It is so unprofessional.
It's not part of the autopsy, however, right? We have a deputy right who's not a medical professional, so I forgive him totally. So the decedent's irises were gray and non-reactive to light. Additionally, there was no petechia present.
And that's signs of strangulation. I'm sorry.
Strangulation.
No, petechia is bleeding into the skin, red or purple bleeding. So I guess they're saying that her eyes were not bloodshot.
Right. When you get the
so that's why I'm saying, like, they're implying that she was not like there was no circulation cut off at the throat.
Okay. So if you have compression at the throat, like you're saying, or strangulation, external compression or strangulation, you get increased pressure into the face and head and the arteries and veins that feed your face and your eyeballs, etc. And petechia are little bursts of small blood vessels. So I agree with you that the fact that she had no petechiae, and that's spelled wrong, present in the conjunctiva is what they're in their eyeballs. Let's say the whites of the eyes is basically their quick way, because they're not doing an autopsy, of saying there appears just quickly that because there are no petechia, that would give them a sense that she was not compressed or strangled.
Yeah, and Dr. Latina, from your experience, is petechia often used with eyes? Because I've never seen it in such context. We usually use it when it relates to the skin. So it's not that.
Yes, you can get petechiae in the conjunctival, or in the eyelids. But usually, what we say for the conjunctiva is there were no conjunctival hemorrhages. Okay, and those are usually bigger, and those often happen from compression, or even if somebody vomits and retches, and they're drunk or something. I'm making this up you're still alive the next day, or when women give birth and they push down to give a birth, they get not petechia, but they get subconjunctival hemorrhaging. So this is really not you're right. This isn't really the correct thing for the conjunctiva, but I don't know where was this guy talking about the petechiae. There were no petechiae present, what, on the eyelids, below the eyes? Where? I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, good point. Good point. Statements. Upon my arrival to the decedent's location, I contacted Charlene Trujillo, a search and rescue member from the Yuba County Sheriff's Office. Charlene informed she located the decedent's lifeless remains on November 11th, 2022 at approximately 1:55 p.m. Upon locating the decedent, they contacted the incident command post and informed them of this update. They did not move or disturb the decedent and awaited law enforcement's arrival.
Charlene informed. Yeah, there's no object of whom she informed. I agree. So yeah,
and then it goes up upon locating the decedent. They contacted. So are they calling Charlene? This paragraph is just messy, but
it is messy.
I understand what they mean.
Okay, let's proceed.
Yes, the decedent's remains were removed by Emily Rose Tate from Hooper and Weaver Mortuary on November 11th, 2022 at 4:29 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
Property. The decedent had multiple bracelets, rings, and a nose ring on her person. These items were collected, which I find peculiar, that they were all taken off of her and later booked into the sheriff's property unit as safekeeping.
I don't like this jargon of quote safekeeping. That should, as Miss Shan said earlier, it really should read as evidence.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And I agree with you, Cass. Taking it off.
It's like they're almost afraid to say the word evidence.
Yeah, usually it's taken off during autopsy. It's just not removed until, like, you don't do any changes to the body until you send it into autopsy, right?
That's what I would understand, and now I'm going to have to, again, not now, but later, look back at Kylie's to see how they
everything. Doctora Latina, they kept everything on Kylie. She was delivered in her clothes and all of her jewelry, or all her earlobe piercings. So I don't know what the procedure is here, but I see the discrepancy between two cases with the same pathologist and the same.
Absolutely, honey. Absolutely.
That's what's catching my eye.
Well, and it would make it, to me, the protocol that as I understand it, is the person should be delivered
as is
en masse, as is, so that one can evaluate the placement of the jewelry. Was there any tearing where somebody may have tried to take the jewelry, or it got pulled, or whatever? Now you've removed all of that.
Yes, and if she was sliding downhill, maybe the earrings or her nose piercing would be gripping to things, and then we cannot evaluate whether there was any pulling.
And that's the thing. It's like, okay, we'll produce this autopsy, but we're not going to do a proper investigation into the COD, the true COD.
Yep,
or what led to the cause of death.
Mm-hmm.
I see no proof of an actual investigation here.
Okay.
Well, let us. So now there's a supplemental investigation, right?
This report was forwarded to the coroner division by Deputy Jason. Who is he? C. Johnson?
Cody.
Sorry, Deputy Cody Johnson with the Patrol Division. On November 15, 2022, Placer County forensic pathologist Dr. Gregor Reber, MD, performed an autopsy on the remains of Trinity Rose Backus. I have reviewed the pathologist's final report of autopsy, which listed the cause of death in this case as probable hypothermia due to prolonged environmental exposure. Other significant contributing conditions were listed as recent LSD consumption. The manner of death in this case has been determined to be accidental. This case will be closed, and any further investigation will be suspended.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So breaks my heart.
So they decided right then and there that it was accidental, and they were not even going to investigate any further.
Yeah, and whatever was taking place will be suspended.
That is
100%.
sad because
They're saying yes.
How
they're
the
done
way
with
she
it.
was found is like not foul? Like, how does that not scream foul play to you?
There
How does
was
that-
no investigation done. That is why.
That's what I'm
It's just
saying. Like,
it's another body, another write-up. Let's move along. Like, you can tell that all of this stuff is rushed.
yeah, they rush through everything.
Okay, so yes, I agree. This is, basically been rubber stamped by the sheriff's office. And, supposedly when an ME, a medical examiner, does an autopsy, that piece of documentation is only supposed to represent one piece of what I call a trifecta, or like a tricycle, trifecta. One of the trifecta is the autopsy. The second part of the trifecta is the crime scene investigation, okay? And the third part is the law enforcement investigation, including revisiting stories about how she went missing, what she was wearing, including forensic data like telephone, texting, etc. But to take just probable hypothermia due to prolonged environmental exposure with quote recent, whatever that means, LSD consumption, and rubber stamp it and say case closed,
right?
Not the way it's supposed to be. In other words, it is incumbent upon the folks that take their oath to say, okay, this guy found X, Y, and Z in terms of the autopsy, but we found her with one leg kind of splayed open, with shorts pulled down, blah, blah, blah. It's where are the pajama pants? The robe was found on the alleged, or whatever, said aunt. Other things were found at different locations in the path of her way. And we also know we couldn't get to her, so we had to get special equipment. But then how did she get there? So they have to ask these questions and say, wait a second, let's go back to the autopsy. Let's go back to the medical examiner and say, something's not fitting here. Did you do an R kit on her? Did you look underneath her fingernails for evidence of DNA, not just dirt, but anybody else?
Thank you.
See what I'm saying? But this to me reads as what I call rubber stamped. Do you know what I mean by that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we're going to show the rubber stamp as we progress even further. Like, it just...
And Doctora Latina, what's interesting is that they're not commenting whatsoever on her. I mean, Dr. Weber is not commenting whatsoever on her anatomical position upon finding.
No, nothing. Which goes back to what I said, with great trepidation, guys. I said, because you can get backlash from many different agencies and folks on the internet. My trepidation by saying, is this a template that just is filled in a sloppy fashion? And
these are templates, but they should be filled in properly.
Exacto. Yes. Yes. P.S. was a pregnancy test done here? Was an R kit done? DNA sent? We don't even have a definitive identification based on best practices. I mean, we could go on.
And the thing of it is if they're going to use a rubber stamp, you guys need to take that white out that makes your documents null and void, because you're whiting out a medical document.
Mm-hmm.
And what should be a forensic document in this situation as well, because we're investigating a child's death.
Well, and as I pointed out, I certainly don't expect people to have listened to me, and this is going back 3 months ago now, but in medicine, forgetting even being valid in court, but just being valid as a medical record, if we annotate or redact something or make an error, the standard is you have to put one line through, you have to write error, you have to put your initials around it, and then you have to write what you did. So in the case of, like, I remember with Kylie Rodney's, and I think in this case, they maybe initially said that brain tissue was taken. I don't recall exactly. And then they whited it out. You can't do that, because even if it never went to court, which this is a forensic document, it as Shan just said, it makes it null and void. It invalidates the document.
Exactly. And as Jen D.B. Rice is highlighting in chat, that Trinity's stepdad was a cop. So why wasn't this investigation performed properly, considering all the right connections were in place?
Thank you.
So I'm sorry. So it was the stepdad or the boyfriend or
the stepdad was a cop,
Dad.
and
he was
JMB
legally
also-
married currently to the mom of Trinity.
Are they married, you're asking?
Yeah, is this a stepdad by marriage? I'm just asking because the aunt is not really an aunt. So
Right.
people put these terms out there, and I'm just wondering, from a legal perspective, is the stepdad legally a stepdad? Is he married to the mom, or is it just a boyfriend?
Yes, Andrea. Yes, they were married.
Doesn't Trinity have his last name? The stepdad's last name?
No, his last name is Stanio.
Oh, okay, sorry. I apologize for that.
No, it's okay. But J&B makes a good point. He said her stepdad was a cop. For God's sake, make it make sense, unless they are protecting the person who gave them to her.
Yep.
Unless they were protecting the person that gave them to her. What does he mean by that?
I think maybe the LSD.
Ah, okay. There's too many them, her. Okay. That's what he's referring to.
Because right before that, he said drugs are illegal. Why don't they want to know who gave them to her?
Okay, so I want to put this. I wanted to put that up. I swear. They rush these cases because it takes away. Oh. Okay.
Shannon Moon, in her last little release she did, states that they got to focus on the theft that's happening. Those are her words. The theft that's happening in the county.
Yeah, they don't.
Theft is more important than. And yes,
Why?
and another thing I'm noticing is, instead of funding these systems that have broken means to doing their actual jobs, they're taking money and putting it into extracurricular programs rather than where it should be. Because you hear them saying, "Oh, we don't have the funds. We don't have the funds. We don't have the funds." But you just spent $400,000 on an MRAP. I'm gonna bring that to light too.
Did you see what SK Steffi says here? That she's an ER nurse for years, and that when it was a coroner's case, upon direction of the coroner, they would remove the jewelry and place it in evidence bags that went with the body. I understand that, because I've also worked as an attending physician in the ER, but she was placed. This is if the person comes to the ER and then they become deceased. It's a little bit different, because unfortunately in the hospital setting, sometimes jewelry and stuff is taken by, could be staff, it could be people walking through. So often the jewelry is removed and placed. I'm glad to see you said evidence bags rather just for safekeeping. But if she was found out in the field, I'm curious from SK Steffi, what is your, I don't know the answer really to this, but it doesn't make sense that they would just have removed all that jewelry.
Yeah, and Doctora Latina, I'm sure SK Steffi would verify that whenever that gets done, it always gets documented. You can't move and not clearly write that as per request of the coroner, the items were removed and placed as evidence for safekeeping, whatever.
Yes, because when we did that in the emergency room, there's a special list that you have, and you have to have a witness, and it has to be signed off on two different signatures. I mean, there's a whole sort of chain of custody that happens, right?
In the ER, you're charting. That's
yeah. But even for police, we have to do that. When the police come in, they say, we need this, we need that. It all has to be, two people have to do it, and two people have to sign off on it and all that. So that's very interesting. Okay.
So do we want to accelerate through the toxicology
Sure.
course
Yes.
findings?
The only thing that I'm pointing out is the amount of LSD in her system is actually a kind of a low amount, which would lead me to believe, because there is no THC present, because people are stating that she took a bong rip and dropped LSD with them. You would think that if this happened in the same night that she went missing, or overnight in the time frame that she went missing, that there would be THC in her system.
Exactly.
But seeing that THC and LSD break down so quickly,
Well,
this
the
leads me to believe that she was trudging, or not even there yet, in this forest system until possibly the night of.
But then we
Okay.
also have to remember that a blood THC or cannabinoid test is not the same as a urine test. So
Yes.
it would show up for 30 days in urine and
Uh,
only like a day in blood. Or maybe 2
Yes.
days if the person was a heavier smoker.
Mm-hmm.
But still, it doesn't align. Like if she
Mm-hmm.
already passed away within 48 hours of that hit, her metabolism would have stopped and we would have seen that THC in her system. So you are correct, Shan, that it looks like it was not in her system at all.
And it should have been, being that the fact that there is a blood sample taken. She was
Well,
only from
go
the
ahead.
9th to the 11th. There should still be some trace amount of THC in the blood panel. I'm not
Yeah,
saying the urine, but the blood panel should have some form.
I agree. Generally, it wouldn't be gone even if it was 2 days later. Now, this LSD level, I know I want to ask Miss Cass about this, because you had some really good graphics about the half-life and how long it would take to get down to this level. But if she was that acutely intoxicated to the point of having paranoia and hallucinations,
It would be a lot higher than 0.58.
unless she
Nanograms
wandered
per
around in the
milliliter.
wilderness for 2 days and it
That's
got
what I'm
down.
saying. A day and a
But
half.
then my question is, if
Even
she
still.
was only found 500 yards or whatever from, not even from where she left or allegedly left,
Yes.
how did they so quickly abandon search?
And they had infrared. They had the infrared things at night. Like, how did they not find her? That's what makes me think she was picked up.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. What do you think, Cass, about that? The fact that the search was fairly quickly that night abandoned, as I understand, and that she was found so close.
Mm-hmm. I'm still on the. I heard the question about the levels of.
Sorry.
I wanted to circle back to that, if that's okay.
Yes.
Because
Go ahead.
it's a very important question, and if Shan, if you could please scroll down to where the just down to where the toxicologist is talking about LSD levels.
Way down as part of the narrative, the comment.
It should be right here, a little lower. Keep going.
There you
Keep
go.
going. It's in the reference comments. A little lower.
Right here.
A little lower. So here we go. This is what I'm talking about. That here she says that.
This is it, correct?
Yes, the last sentence.
Peripheral blood.
Blood concentrations of LSD between 4 and 6 nanograms per milliliter are usually seen 1 to 2 hours after the usual psychedelic dose. And then the last part of the sentence doesn't really apply.
Yeah, and these are large numbers. You have to understand that it's 0.58. You're talking a full 16 nanograms.
Yes, and I would absolutely love to talk to this lady and ask all the questions. Like, what does she mean by the usual psychedelic dose? Because from my research, it varies from 100 micrograms up to 300 micrograms. So then, what numbers are we looking at there? And
so, from what I understand from my research, is 20 nanograms is a usual dose of LSD.
And I doubt 200 micrograms probably.
Not micro, like it's less than, like it's so broken down. It would be 200 micrograms.
Shanda, go again, please.
Can you go back to her level? Let's just get her level again, please.
Whoa.
0.0
Her level is 0.58.
0.58. Yes.
nanograms per mil. Okay, there you go. I
Yes.
got to
So
jot
that
this.
would be
Also pulled up additional research that said that
that
it's
would be
actually
5.
from natural from NIH, and it says that levels from 1.5 to 5.5 nanograms per milliliter may be found within 24 hours after the patient has taken a 300 microgram dose of LSD. And I'm going to put that in the chat so that everyone.
Yeah, and micro dosing is 20 nanograms per milliliter. That's somebody that's micro dosing.
Shanda, I would politely disagree on that. I think that if they're
You're correct on your you're correct on your up to 200 as somebody that's just like excuse my language, but to trip balls. But when people micro dose, it's a
you're right. It's
smaller
20,
amount.
Yeah, but I think it's still micrograms. I'm pretty sure.
That's where I could be wrong. So it might convert to 200.
Yes, the number is correct. I know what you're talking
You're
about.
the professional, not
Yeah, no, not at all.
Okay, so wait a second. So let's revisit that. Whether it's micrograms, microdosing, nanograms, whatever.
So we have nanograms in the concentration.
That's right.
In the blood, and then we have the dosage of LSD in micrograms.
So
go ahead. If the patient takes 300 micrograms, which is a powerful psychedelic dose.
Yes.
Within 24 hours, we're going to see 10 times what we are seeing in Trinity's autopsy. So 5.5 nanograms per milliliter of blood.
Yes.
Okay, that's if, may I just interject? That's if somebody took
300.
300.
Yes,
and that's what they're trying to paint it as. She took 2 normal doses.
And what are you saying about the
LSD.
micro dosing? Go ahead.
What I was saying about, so going back, Doctora Latina, you mentioned about the half-life of LSD. So half-life is how long does it take for the drug or the medication
to break down.
Yes, half of it is gone. Half of it is gone from your system, right? And in case of LSD, that's only 2 to 3 hours. So for example, if you start your drug experience at 10, in 2 or 3 hours, you're going to only have 5 units in your blood. So if we go, if the person carries on for example, 8 hours, they're going to go from 10 units of concentration of LSD in their blood to just 1 unit. So LSD is metabolized very rapidly.
Yes.
That's why, in my video, I mentioned that there's so many factors to metabolism. And metabolism is just a fancy word for breaking down, because someone who hasn't eaten and took it on an empty stomach is going to break it down 2 times faster. And that was Trinity's case, because her stomach didn't have much food. There was 200 milliliters of fluid, which is 6.7 ounces, so a little less than 7 ounces. So she basically took LSD on an empty stomach and metabolized it rather rapidly. And then going back, I was considering what was the dose that she took, how much was it, how long ago?
That's what I want to know. That's what I'm trying to extrapolate back.
Yes, and I really, Dr. Latina has spent 2 days trying to extrapolate it back.
I don't know. I'm not really good at that, but I'm trying to figure this out myself.
Yeah. And then the other thing I'm trying to figure out is if she took a hit of something else that was in a bong type device, if it wasn't THC because it's not showing on her toxicology, what was in that?
Well, apparently nothing. They ran this.
Yeah, they ran a total tox blood panel that's highlighted on the bottom of the screen right now. So total tox covers everything, including fent and other street Drugs. So, Doctora Latina, going back to your question about how much did she take, when did she take it? At some point, trying to extrapolate it back, I realized that it did not really matter because we do not know if it was her first time. Actually, Shan might know because Trinity's boyfriend did make a statement about that, and I don't remember what his statement was.
His statement was that they didn't do it often, all but more than a few times a year.
Okay, so she had done it before. But
Yes.
then, all right, that changes things a little bit because I was thinking we really don't know. We really don't know her brain chemistry and we don't know her brain sensitivity. Was she one of the people who would be, high off of a microdose? Because there
Yes,
are people with
absolutely.
brains like that. We don't know how much did they take with the boyfriend? Did they
Yes,
take the
because they are painting the picture that she had such a bad reaction to it that she panicked and was screaming and thought radiation was in the home, that it was going to get her. So she left her phone that she thought the radiation might be coming from. She left the house that the radiation might be coming from. Like, I personally think they need to look at her phone records to see if maybe she didn't call stepdad or call somebody, hey, can you come save me and come pick me up? Because that's what it sounds like if you look at this report as a whole, is she made a phone call to somebody to come get her.
Yes. And Doctora Latina, I know that you had some information on levels of anxiety and transcendence and mystical experiences and all those stuff that might confuse the consumer of the substance.
Yes.
Right.
It can induce psychosis.
It really can, and it can unmask, horrible things. I think my point, I guess, is I concur with you. I don't think we can really extrapolate because we don't know what her dose was.
No.
We really don't know. Did she die? Did she die 2 hours later? And that's the instant you die, that's the level that she had?
Yeah, and you don't know the level, the amount, what the nanograms or micrograms of each dose was because it's not being tested.
No, and the other issue, guys, is
can I read a comment?
Sure.
J.M. Bryce was saying that it was her second.
I'm sorry.
It was her second time, according to her real aunt. She said she had a bad trip the first time.
I do remember reading that.
That's right.
On her Facebook.
And
I remember
also,
reading
we
that
have
on
to
her
keep
Facebook.
in mind that according to the news article, or according to Hannah, maybe, don't quote me, but one of them did say that after she did do the bong rip, if that even happened, that's what triggered her into the panic attack or whatever.
Yes.
So which wasn't there. She definitely did not take any, according to her autopsy.
Correct.
Yes. And I also think, don't you ladies think that a boyfriend would know better what kind of, how they entertain themselves with the legal?
In my opinion, yes. The boyfriend's going to know more than, because you hide things from your parents. You don't tell your parents everything.
Yeah, that's just what comes to mind.
Well, I think that the other thing, they should talk to the boyfriend. Yes, this is what I wanted to show. That's what Marlena just said. No, I think the other thing I wanted to say is, and this is again speculation, but if indeed, regardless of how much, microdose, normal dose, lots of doses.
But the thing is they could have got these numbers. I don't mean to cut you off, but it's a valid point. They could have gotten these numbers because Hannah turned over what was left of the LSD to a family member or somebody. And in return, they could have tested the amount that actually was dosed. Why is it not here?
Right. So that piece is missing. So that is important. However,
yes, absolutely.
But I'm going to say, if you go back to the first thing that you yourself said when we began this a couple of hours ago now, that maybe she was indeed picked up by a car, and we don't know. This is speculation. No. She could have been taken around. She could have gone to party somewhere else.
Yes, the police report, states that
we don't know.
Scent was lost.
So we don't know what the heck happened in the interim between the point where that canine dog lost scent and the place where they found her. So we don't know, did she redose? We just don't.
The only thing,
and the last visual of her was the not aunt's boyfriend saying by the time she reached the gate, she disappeared.
And don't forget the call logs had a
Yes.
couple of multiple sightings down that road.
In
And
the
it would
opposite
appear,
direction.
yeah, now I don't know if any of that was factual or if it was her, but there were multiple sightings, possible sightings of her.
And that all should all be part of the investigation that Dr. Latina was talking about, that we can't just base, conclude things based on an autopsy. They should interview the boyfriend and ask about the dosages. They should look at ring cameras around the neighborhood. So all of that was not done
No.
whatsoever.
Cece said she has all of the emails from her boyfriend saying they did it for healing purposes. They were
Okay.
hippies. I firmly believe that.
Okay, so here's my thing, that regardless of why and when and how and who,
the numbers are odd.
The thing that the numbers are the thing that I have trouble with, just as a parent and as looking at this area of the country, which I've never been to, Northern California, and how law enforcement has handled. Now we've looked at 2 cases sort of granularly.
Yeah, where's the investigation?
I want to know, as a parent, because I can tell you right now that feet are held to the fire for less, far less than we had a slumber party in the middle of the week at somebody who's not even a family member, with that somebody member boyfriend in the house, and were they chaperoned, were they not? All of this, from what I can understand, wasn't even looked into. Who was the person?
Then you also have an unmentioned roommate, a room that is for rent that was pulled down upon discovery that she's missing, and they also have a yurt in the backyard that they also rent out. So we have strangers coming in and out.
Right, and none of this was looked at, and that is so upsetting to me as a parent and as a professional. And I'm sure folks on the chat and you all, it's like, what is going on here?
Absolutely.
And I could imagine that the grandmama and the father, the bio father of Trinity, also wonders what is going on. And is somebody's child's life that insignificant and unimportant to the law, so to speak, that they can just stamp it and say, accident, got cold, that's it? That isn't it.
Yeah, and what I found interesting as well is that the lab was sent vitreous fluid, which means fluid from the eye. And why on earth did they run a electrolyte and glucose panel?
To see if she was dehydrated.
No,
that's typical.
That's done because after death, there are, through osmosis and all that kind of stuff, there are the different electrolyte values change, and that can give an idea of how much of these different potassium, et cetera, are located, and is it consistent with, the person being deceased. So that doesn't really bother me.
But why was that a priority at all? There's so many questions, and the last thing are her glucose levels that would help us solve and understand what happened. That's just my subjective.
I think what you're saying, and I don't know, tell me if I'm wrong, but this is what I'm thinking you're saying, and this is what I think, is that more important than the electrolytes and glucose panel of the vitreous and of fluid levels, whatever those, serum, whatever, would be an R kit,
DNA under her nails.
Right. And if you look at the autopsy, which we haven't even gotten into, so we may have to end up do this another night.
Yeah, but I told you it was going to be a multiple part.
I think it is going to be multiple part, and we've covered a lot of ground here, but there's so much more to cover. But it is concerning to me that they go into such unbelievable detail about every abrasion, every cut, every ecchymosis, every bruise, blah blah blah, the length of this, the that, the blah, 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 and they never comment on the genital area. Was it intact? Was there evidence? I'm sorry?
They're saying it's unremarkable. Nothing was found. Everything
Right.
was normal and healthy.
No, but well, if you look, she did have a 5.2 centimeter huge, which is huge, by
Yes.
the way. P.S. The
She
cyst on
was
the ovary.
tested for barbiturates and cannabinoids, and there was none present.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, she did have a cyst, but it has nothing to do with how she passed away.
No, but what's
absolutely
ironic, that's a whole other side piece. But just FYI, when ovarian cysts get above 5 centimeters, generally it requires surgery because you can get an acute torsion or twisting of your ovary and lose it. So that's a whole other piece to the story, which has nothing to do with it. But it's ironic to me that they got that detailed about the internal reproductive tract. But there is
Without
nothing
doing one.
about the external reproductive tract. And it's not enough. I'm telling you this because I've done dozens of these forensic kit things in my past here for patients. You have to comment on everything. The size of the opening of the external birth canal, we'll just call it that. Are there evidence of scarring, contusions, lacerations, etc.? None of that was commented on.
Oh, it was commented on, but they just briefly
Touch
stated
base on it on the outside.
I'm telling you, that is not adequate. That is not adequate.
Yeah, they just say normally developed. They don't go into detail about what state they were in. Yeah,
And if you take all the time to talk about every little, jot and dot of her skin, and remember, our skin is the largest organ in our entire body. Part of the skin which is important, especially with a minor female or even male gone missing, found deceased, and found in a compromising position with their clothing not on, but one piece compromising, in my opinion, down from where it should have been.
Mm-hmm.
Why didn't they do that exam and make detailed commentary? It's not it's missing. I just wanted to say.
Yeah, and it's so sad that there's no going back and examining that.
No, because
nope.
She was cremated, so yeah, it's really it's disturbing. All right, so I think there's so much more to go over, but I think we've been on almost 3 hours, folks. No,
yeah. Yes, 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Right.
We can pause here at this, and then we can get together and see when a good day.
Yes.
Early next week or something.
Yes.
Midweek to get together and finish the rest of this.
Yes. So I wanted just to thank everybody in the chat for coming on. I wanted to remind people that it would be really nice if you liked it, or even if you didn't like tonight, to make a thumbs up or a thumbs down. And if you feel so inclined to subscribe to me, to Cass, to Daisy. So I would hope before we, thank you, Dorsey. Could the folks put in chat that you all put your links to your channels so that the chat folks can subscribe or at least, check you out, because I think that's really important. And I never thought I would say this. This whole algorithm thing, but the fact I do feel that all of us four that are up here tonight on panel have, really important things to say. And it does trouble me. I don't know what the best word would be, that already my kids call it shadow banned, because it is clear that when I put something out now where I used to get 22,000, 10,000, it's now getting 300, 200 because it's not being pushed out in the algorithm. And I think partly it's because what I'm exposing and what I'm challenging people to look at is not popular, maybe. But it's also, I think, whatever we can do in the chat to try to promote truth.
Yes, this is why we hashtag and do what we do, because it helps the algorithm for Trinity Backus.
Yeah, and I don't know how to do that, honestly. All I know is that if whatever you all can do to help our algorithm, because we want to get that message out for Trinity and for Kylie. So.
Yeah, and just to finish on a positive note, I wanted to also bring it up in case the family is still listening, that blood, urine, vitreous fluid, gastric fluids, and it could be that brain tissue were also collected, and they will be stored for
1 year.
12 months. Yes. So we do have this 1 year to look at these,
Yes.
look at this information and try to retrieve it, and maybe run it through another. I mean, I do trust the lab.
I trust this lab here in Pennsylvania. Yes. Pennsylvania is on their stuff when it comes to medical teams and law enforcement teams.
Yeah, however, think about it. They did not have the urine samples, and they did not have the gastric samples, because those were not released to them. And it's interesting to see what was in the brain samples as well. We don't know if that was collected because looks like it was, and then it was whited out. So that's something to also inquire into and demand information about.
And always, always, my condolences are with her father and her family. I apologize that to some people, it feels as though we are dragging this out, or that we are tragedy pimps, when we are only trying to get justice for these children.
I agree. And I can say with my heart,
the truth is what drives us.
Yeah, it's the truth. And that comment that Cass, or the quote from Voltaire that you put in at the end of your video the other day, Cass.
Yes, to the living we owe respect, but to the dead we owe only the truth.
So in that sense, sometimes it feels disrespectful to tell the truth. So in this case, maybe that she was doing an illicit drug or whatever, but it is in only telling the true story and asking the difficult questions that we, can get justice for this child. Yeah. And like I always say, each of us is a unique creature, in my belief, created by God. And, each of our humanities is important. And it grieves me. It really grieves me when I see these kind of young people just passed off of, oh, well, we have robbery issues in this county.
We have better things to focus on than your deceased child.
And it becomes really concerning because we start seeing a pattern.
Yes, and the system fails them from the jump. Like, no Amber Alerts are being issued because they don't match criteria. No proper missing persons report are being generated by the media.
Yeah, and
these are the problems just that we are facing.
The patterns in like their friend circles, and yes,
absolutely.
Like it's very disturbing.
Yes.
So I just am so thrilled that you three came on panel tonight. It is,
thank you.
Really, it was with great humility that I feel like I could participate in this conversation.
Thank you for having us.
No, I mean, it's just, you guys have so much.
It's a hard conversation, but we need to have these conversations.
And you guys have so much credibility and bring so much, time, talent, and treasure to the table, so to speak. And that I just am so grateful that you took the time out. And I'm so grateful to the folks on chat. And to my daughter, Dorsey Camila, and to Marlena Cantu, that they took the time out of their busy schedules, all of you all, folks in chat, to talk about this very sad case. Yeah, and I also want to extend my condolences. It is devastating. And I just want to, again, extend my condolences to Grandmommy and to Brandon, the dad, for this horrific loss.
Yes.
All right, folks.
Justice for Trinity.
Justice for Trinity. Do you want to, before we hang up, so to speak, do y'all want to put in the chat your channel numbers or channel?
They did already.
Your mod has been doing a phenomenal job of dropping links.
She has? I didn't even notice that. Oh, thank you, Dorsey Camila, and thank you, Marlena.
Yes.
Okay, so to be continued, guys.
Yes. God bless everybody for participating, who are listening, who want a call to action, that want to see people being held accountable for such tragic things that are happening to our youth.
Amen. Can we, we're going to end the live portion. Is it possible? And could you tell me how to end the broadcast, but have you three remain behind, or four remain behind stage to talk for a minute?
All you have to do is hit end live at the top right of your screen.
And the broadcast?
It will then end your broadcast, and then we can remain here in the studio.
So there's a red thing that says end broadcast. It doesn't say live.
Yes.
It says
end broadcast, and you're good to go.
Okay, good night. Well, I'm going to put
God bless everybody for coming in. Thank you. Please make sure you hit that like.
Okay, folks, I'm just going to say good night to everybody. Thank you so much for coming. I'm going to end the broadcast now. And thank you all that are showing up, and the beautiful picture of Cass. And we are going to end the broadcast, and then we're going to have a quick little powwow behind scenes. Good night. God bless everybody.
God bless.
Good night.
Have a blessed weekend. Bye.